Chapter 1132. The moment Yunshang and Baby Sheep walked out of the cultivation magic array. The cultivation magic array, which was originally filled with dense magic power, collapsed and disappeared without a trace, as if it had never existed. Wan Tianqiu and Tycoon Gold were still fighting. Although it was an eternal life ritual artifact, Tycoon Gold did not gain much of an advantage in the process of fighting with Wan Tianqiu. There were now many sunken wounds on its originally shining purple and gold body. This was undoubtedly the most serious challenge that Tycoon Gold had faced since Yunshang had refined it. Wan Tianqiu's situation was slightly better, but compared to before, his evil spirit had decreased instead of increasing. It seemed that his evil spirit could not be maintained forever. Once the evil spirit's time was up, the evil spirit warrior's form would also disappear. Yunshang waved her hand and summoned Tycoon Gold back. Wan Tianqiu's eyes, which were already red from killing, revealed a ferocious look. He pounced on Yunshang like a hungry wolf. The corners of Yunshang's lips curled up slightly. She did not even try to dodge. She raised the magic scepter in her hand. On the scepter, which was branded with the evil spirit's brand, the evil spirit's brand suddenly lit up like a soul stone. At Yunshang's feet, a ferocious image of the king of evil spirits' head appeared. The light on the magic scepter was like a small black sun. The image of the king of evil spirits' head caused Wan Tianqiu to freeze in his tracks. He could not help but narrow his eyes. Although he had already lost consciousness, Wan Tianqiu subconsciously sensed that this dark light was unusual. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The black baleful Yin Qi either took the form of skeletons or ferocious beasts as they surged toward Yunshang. Although it already knew that its master had become a necromancer, seeing so many dark evil spirits all at once, Baby Sheep's will still stood up disappointingly. The evil spirit gathered under Yunshang's feet more and more. Within the demon fiend magic array, Yunshang's skin was as white as ivory, and her lips were a bright red. Yunshang's plain summoner robe suddenly turned black. Ghost skeletons appeared on the robe. Between the black and white, she exuded a kind of flirtatious beauty. "Summon, King of Evil Spirits," Yunshang shouted in a crisp voice. Her black hair danced in the wind, yet there was an indescribable charm to her. Following Yunshang's chanting, the various types of Yin Qi gradually formed a 5-meter-tall evil spirit king. His muscles were the color of blood copper, and each of his muscles was like a small hill. His eyes were red like lanterns, and his upper body was naked. He wore a necklace of bones around his neck. There were many skulls on the necklace. From the looks of it, there were both human and beast skulls. When the evil spirit king came out of the magic array, with every step he took, his whole body exuded an evil spirit. It made people's hearts tremble and their souls tremble. Compared to the evil spirit king summoned by the necromancer summoning spell, Wan Tianqiu was just a mere evil spirit warrior. His aura suddenly weakened a lot. The murderous spirit in Wan Tianqiu's turbid eyes gradually dissipated. Instead, it was replaced by a look of horror. Wan Tianqiu had never imagined that the person he thought he would be able to kill within 10 moves would actually be able to summon the terrifying Spectre King. Was that the power of a human summoner? Wan Tianqiu's movements became hesitant. He suddenly turned around and rushed toward the exit behind him. Obviously, he didn't dare to fight the evil spirit king head-on. However, what Wan Tianqiu didn't expect was that the moment he turned around, the baleful Spectre King's enormous baleful spectre body was already in front of him. The cave, which could only barely fit 2 people, looked extremely narrow in the face of the evil spirit king's huge body, which was more than 5 meters tall. The evil spirit king let out a roar that sounded like a horn. The many human and beast heads on the necklace hanging in front of him moved strangely. The jaws of those human and beast heads moved. They spat out clouds of blood mist from their mouths. The blood mist seemed to have eyes. It surrounded Wan Tianqiu and rushed into his chest. After the blood mist entered his body, Wan Tianqiu's gloomy face flushed red. His facial features, which were no different from those of an evil spirit, were twisted. Crack! It was as if something had been bitten. Wan Tianqiu grabbed his chest with a heart-wrenching pain. He felt as if his heart was being bitten by something. Wan Tianqiu groaned and spat out a mouthful of blood. Wan Tianqiu's flesh and blood quickly shrank. His blood turned black. Soon, his body turned into a wrinkled mummy. Although Wan Tianqiu's evil spirit transformation was powerful, it also had a fatal weakness. Evil spirit transformation was a combat skill that sacrificed one's life force. If it was used up too much, one would eventually become a mummy without flesh and blood. An evil spirit warrior was invincible. His heart was the weakest. Yun Shang didn't know the weakness of an evil spirit warrior. That was why she was forced to retreat. The evil spirit king, as the king of the evil spirits, knew the weakness of an evil spirit warrior well. The blood mist was the evil spirit of heart devouring. It had already eaten up Wan Tianqiu's heart. Wan Tianqiu was killed? That was too fast. Yun Shang still couldn't believe it. She walked forward and checked Wan Tianqiu's body. After checking it carefully, she found that Wan Tianqiu was indeed dead. Yun Shang's black eyes turned golden. She stared at Wan Tianqiu's heart. She found that Wan Tianqiu's heart had disappeared. No, it shouldn't be said that it had disappeared. It had been devoured. The strange blood mist released by the evil spirit king could invisibly enter a person's body. It had no shape or form, but it had terrifying strength. What a terrifying evil spirit. Even Yun Shang herself didn't expect that the evil spirit king she summoned would have such terrifying strength. Although Yun Shang had just become an undead summoner, she wasn't familiar with it. This was her first time summoning. She didn't expect that the evil spirit king she summoned would have such terrifying strength. According to the memories left in her mind by the First Lord of Dharma and the Emperor Zhao in red, undead summoners were divided into individual undead summoners and group undead summoners. If she became familiar with it in the future, she could form a powerful evil spirit undead army. Even in the face of thousands of soldiers and horses, Yun Shang believed that she could command the evil spirit king to kill thousands of soldiers and horses without leaving a trace. Yun Shang's heart palpitated. She longed for the power of the undead summoning even more. However, she remembered the warning of the two masters from the 8 wastelands. Yun Shang also understood that she couldn't use the power of the undead summoning too much. Otherwise, she would easily be devoured by the dark power. Chapter 1133. After killing Wan Tianqiu, the king of evil ghosts walked respectfully to Yun Shang. It knelt on one knee, lowered its head, put its right hand on its bare chest, and saluted to Yun Shang. That posture was no longer as fierce as when it killed Wan Tianqiu. Yun Shang was stunned. What is this? Yun Shang was slightly stunned. Dear master. He is recognizing you as his master. Suddenly, such a big guy appeared and tried to steal his master. So Baby Sheep was a little unhappy. Alas, dear master is good at everything, but she is too strong. Look, another summoned beast came out. If it goes on like this, Baby Sheep will definitely lose her favor. Baby Sheep felt sorry for himself and forgot that he had been looking forward to Yun Shang's strength to be stronger, so that he could have a chance to compete with that stinky god of hell. Although he was unhappy, Baby Sheep's biggest advantage was that he was optimistic. Anyway, no matter how many magical beasts his master had, Baby Sheep was the most important one. After thinking it through, Baby Sheep was not afraid of the king of evil ghosts. He knew that the king of evil ghosts was formed by the evil spirit of the Ghost King. But he didn't expect that a little ghost king could have so much evil spirit. Baby Sheep was not shy. He flapped his wings and landed on the knees of the king of evil ghosts. One was an ugly evil ghost, and the other was a cute pink sheep. The big eyes of the lantern were facing the small eyes of the black bean. The king of evil ghosts and Baby Sheep did not reject each other. The king of the evil spirits tilted its head and gave Baby Sheep an ugly smile, but it was obviously trying to please Baby Sheep. Baby Sheep, dear master. This big guy is very powerful, and he is different from the ordinary evil ghosts. After Baby Sheep and the king of evil ghosts had a spiritual sex, he found that this big guy was a typical muscular but simple-minded person. As long as he was trained well, he would definitely be Baby Sheep's master's right-hand man. Generally speaking, the evil spirit was the most evil power. Baby Sheep had thought that the king of evil ghosts, which was formed by the evil spirit, was also an evil and bloodthirsty person. That was not the case. The baleful energy in the Ghost King Cave was different. It turned out that when the Phantasm Ghost King was building the Ghost King Cave, he had secretly abducted many magicians, martial artists, and commoners from all over the human world. These people were imprisoned in the Ghost King Cave. In addition to excavating the Ghost King Cave, they were also responsible for constructing the 4 great magic arrays in the Ghost King Cave. Only after the magic array was completed did these people realize that the Phantasm Ghost King had already left a fatal poison in their bodies. One by one, the baleful poison flared up, and they all died in the Ghost King Cave. Therefore, they were different from the baleful specters that were formed by the baleful chi. These people were not extremely evil. The baleful specter kings that were formed by their baleful souls were much easier to control. Sob, so pitiful. Dear Master, the king of evil spirits doesn't have a name yet. Why don't we give it a name? How about we call it Blockhead? When Baby Sheep heard about the king of evil spirits' tragic experience, he gave a loud snort to express his sympathy. Blockhead. Yunsheng rolled her eyes. How could she summon the majestic king of evil spirits with such a name? However, the problem was that before Yunsheng could object, the king of evil spirits hurriedly nodded its head, indicating that it liked the name very much. Baby Sheep immediately smiled through his tears. He was having a great time playing with the king of evil spirits. After killing Wan Tianqiu, Yunsheng adjusted her breathing for a moment, waiting for someone to come out of the teleportation magic array. However, what surprised Yunsheng was that she waited for a full half an hour. There was no movement at all in the 2 magic arrays. Those who could escape from Anemone Abyssalis and enter the Ghost King Cave in the end were all martial gods. Just now, there were about 12 or 13 people who had entered the teleportation magic array on both sides. Even if there was a powerful ambush or trap at the other end of the teleportation magic array, it was impossible for all of them to be killed in such a short period of time. Not good. Could it be that there were other passageways in the teleportation magic array? Yunsheng's eyelids twitched. She was not in the mood to wait any longer. She had calculated everything, but she had not considered that there might be other passageways in the depths of the Ghost King Cave. Yunsheng suddenly thought of the Blockhead. It was formed by hundreds and thousands of evil spirits in the Ghost King Cave. It should know everything that had happened in the Ghost King Cave. Yunsheng's heart skipped a beat. King of evil spirits, let me ask you, how did the Phantasm Ghost King die back then? Between the 2 magic arrays on the left and right, which one is the real corpse of the Ghost King? Yunsheng had originally planned to wait for the people from the 8 counties of the underworld to come out before snatching the Heart Distress Lantern. However, it had been a while since the heroes had entered the 2 teleportation magic arrays, but no one had come out. Yunsheng could not help but have some doubts in her heart. Back then, after the Phantasm Ghost King built the Ghost King Cave, where did he go? In the end, he died in the hands of someone. Yunsheng guessed that the answer was very likely to be in the 2 teleportation magic arrays. My lord, the last teleportation magic array that the Ghost King entered was the one on the right, the Blockhead respectfully replied. His voice was very low. However, the Blockhead could only tell Yunsheng that much. He did not know who killed the Phantasm Ghost King. After the Phantasm Ghost King entered the teleportation magic array on the right, he never appeared again. He never appeared again? What does that mean? Yunsheng could not help but be shocked. The Blockhead had existed for as long as the Ghost King Cave had existed. However, because there had not been any necromancers before, the Blockhead had always been in the form of evil spirits, drifting in the Ghost King Cave. The Blockhead was very clear about the movements in the Ghost King Cave. The only thing that exceeded the Blockhead's perception was the 4 teleportation magic arrays. However, one thing was certain. The Phantasm Ghost King had entered the teleportation magic array on the right. Since then, he had completely disappeared from the underworld. Whether it was his subordinates or his enemies, none of them were able to find the whereabouts of the Phantasm Ghost King. In the past, there had been a few people who had tried to enter the Ghost King Cave to find the Phantasm Ghost King. However, those intruders either stopped in front of the demigod magic beast Arrowtail Battle Rhinoceros or mysteriously disappeared into the teleportation magic array like the Phantasm Ghost King. Over time, for some unknown reason, the news of the Phantasm Ghost King's death spread throughout the underworld. In that case, the Phantasm Ghost King only disappeared? Also, is there something strange about the teleportation magic array? Yunshang's gaze fell on the teleportation magic array on the right. You can say that. If even the Phantasm Ghost King could not walk out of the teleportation magic array, how could others walk out? The blockhead nodded. Chapter 11:34. When Yunshang heard this, she was half happy and half worried. She was happy because the blockhead's words proved that the Netherworld Ghost King and the Heart's Distress Lantern were definitely left in the teleportation array on the right. The bad news was that even the Netherworld Ghost King couldn't walk out of the teleportation array. If Yunshang entered it, she might not be able to walk out. Yunshang had an even worse plan in her heart. That was, the Netherworld Ghost King might not even be dead. 20 years might be a long time for an ordinary person. But for a godlike existence like the Netherworld Ghost King, 20 years was just the blink of an eye. Between not being able to walk out of the teleportation array and having to face the Netherworld Ghost King again, Yunshang didn't know which one she was more willing to face. TSK. What a difficult situation. Yunshang cursed in her heart. But if she couldn't find the Heart's Distress Lantern, her mother's soul might. Yunshang didn't dare to continue thinking. If she wasted this chance to find the Heart's Distress Lantern, she didn't know if she would have another chance to come to the Netherworld. Her mother, Hu Jiuxing, would sooner or later die from the exhaustion of her soul. At that time, no amount of water of life could save her. She definitely couldn't let her father experience the pain of losing his wife again. Yunshang was deep in thought. Even the talkative kissing sheep was quiet and obediently squatted on Yunshang's shoulder. The blockheads stood guard at the side. They all knew that their master was making the most difficult decision. Yunshang quickly made up her mind and summoned the beasts in the exquisite beast pagoda. Kissing beasts, you should have heard the blockhead's words. The teleportation array on the right might face an unprecedented crisis. Although you are my beasts, you have always been Yunshang's companions. If you don't want to go in with me, I can cancel the contract with you right now. Yunshang's face was calm. The sheep and the magical beasts stared at each other. Dear Master, Bobo is your life-bound magical beast. You can't break the contract with a life-bound magical beast. Bobo will stick to you. Bobo pursed his lips. He didn't want to leave his dear master. Among the rest of the magical beasts, Queen Night Demon giggled, her eyes filled with flirtatious feelings. Master, even the little lambs are so bold. Why would my Night Demon clan be afraid of death? The Elven Queen brushed her golden hair that was like the waves of the sea. My noble Water Elf clan is naturally not inferior to the Night Demon clan. The Centipede Ant Jiang and Xiao Hei couldn't speak, but the Centipede Ant Jiang and Xiao Hei both walked to Yunshang's side and answered their questions with their actions. Although they formed a contract with Yunshang for various reasons, they also realized that Yunshang was different from ordinary summoners after getting along with each other for many years. Those summoners on the boundless land all treated their magical beasts as tools to kill the enemy and win. Only Yunshang would treat them as companions. What were companions? Companions were people who were still willing to use their own bodies to block the scythe of the Grim Reaper in the face of life and death. At this moment, the magical beasts of different shapes and races showed an unprecedented unity. They all understood the purpose of their master's trip to the underworld this time. The dangers ahead were unknown, but as long as they put in more effort, their master's chances of rescuing their master's mother would increase. Yunshang's throat seemed to be blocked by something. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. She only nodded her head heavily. At a time like this, too many words were no longer useful. After this experience, whether it was Yunshang or the magical beasts, they were no longer just summoners and magical beasts to each other. They were each other's companions. After putting the magical beasts back into the beast language ring, Lin Mingya took Popping Sheep and Blockhead to the teleportation magic array on the far right. The teleportation magic array on the right emitted a light like a candle. When Yun Shang stepped into the teleportation magic array, a strange red light flashed on the originally dim teleportation magic array. Yun Shang was quickly swallowed up by the teleportation magic array. The passage of the Ghost King Cave was peaceful again. Only Wan Tianqiu's desiccated corpse, which had long lost its human form, was still lying on the ground. After about 15.5 minutes, an agile figure appeared in the passage like the wind. Gold eyes scanned the passage, and Dollar's gaze suddenly changed. There were obvious traces of a fierce battle here. A large number of flying ant corpses were piled up in the corner like dust. There were also traces of Dollar's attacks on the walls and the ground. Could it be that Yun Shang had encountered something? Dollar's heart was in his mouth. Finally, his eyes fell on the desiccated corpse on the ground. Based on the smell, he was sure that it was Wan Tianqiu's corpse. Wan Tianqiu was killed? Dollar examined the wounds on Wan Tianqiu's body. When he saw the cause of Wan Tianqiu's death, Dollar's eyes darkened. This wound was not caused by Yun Shang. It was not caused by the martial gods in the 8 counties of the underworld. Wan Tianqiu had been killed by the Ghost King. Dollar did not know that Yun Shang had gone from being a sacred discipline king to becoming a necromancer in the underworld and the human world in a few thousand years. She had become a necromancer that had never been seen before. After looking around, Dollar didn't find any more bloodstains. Realizing that Yun Shang was not injured and was at most taken away, Dollar breathed a sigh of relief. He couldn't help but blame himself. If he had known that there was such a powerful enemy in the Ghost King Cave, he wouldn't have coveted the power of the Dark Cloud. In just half an hour, Yun Shang had encountered an unprecedentedly strong enemy. Now, where was she being taken to? Who was lurking in the Ghost King Cave? Dollar's eyes turned red. There were 3 magic arrays in front of him. One of them was a cultivation magic array, and the other 2 were teleportation magic arrays. If there was no accident, Yun Shang must be in one of the magic arrays. However, which teleportation array was the little wildcat at now? When Dollar was the North Nether King, he was a decisive person. This was the first time in his life that he was faced with a difficult choice. Dollar stopped in front of the 2 teleportation magic arrays on the left and the right for a moment. After turning into a demonic beast, Dollar's sense of smell had become much sharper. But what confused him was that there was no trace of Yun Shang in front of the 2 magic arrays. Or, the designers of the 2 magic arrays had used a certain method to hide the traces of the people who entered the teleportation magic arrays. He thought about it and finally stepped into the magic array on the left. Late, Happy Lantern Festival. Chapter 1135. After a wave of magic fluctuations, the moment Dollar stepped out of the teleportation magic array, a touch of disappointment flashed across his golden eyes. Oh no, his judgment was wrong. In the surrounding air, there was no familiar scent that belonged to Little Wildcat. Instead, there was the scent of some strong people from the other 8 counties of the underworld. It seemed that those who entered here were the martial gods from the 8 counties of the underworld. It seemed that Little Wildcat had entered the teleportation magic array on the right. Almost without hesitation, Dollar turned around and was about to return to the magic array, ready to turn back and enter the other magic array to catch up with Yun Shang. But at this time, the tip of his nose smelled a trace of blood. The smell of blood was no stranger to Dollar. But in the smell of blood, there was another scent. That scent made Dollar's footsteps freeze in an instant. As if he had been electrocuted, he suddenly turned his head. There were 2 teleportation arrays at the bottom of the Ghost King Cave. The one on the right that Yun Shang had entered led to an unknown place. The teleportation array that Dollar Yi Baiming had entered led to a palace. The reason why Dollar was so shocked was that he was very familiar with this palace. Curtains after curtains, dim lights, and a dilapidated courtyard. Everything was so familiar. Although Dollar Yi Baiming thought that he had long forgotten all of this, it was not until he stood here that he realized that everything was still in the deepest part of his memory. This palace awakened the darkest memory in Yi Baiming's life. Cold Palace. The second teleportation magic array of the Ghost King Cave led to the Cold Palace of the Imperial Palace of Zhou State. No, although he was extremely shocked, But Yi Baiming was not blinded by everything in front of him. Although this place was very similar to the cold palace of Zhou State, this place was only built to imitate the cold palace of Zhou State. At this time, there was no one in this fake cold palace. The strong people from the 8 counties of the underworld who had entered here earlier had disappeared without a trace. A strange feeling grew in Dollar's heart like weeds. No, he couldn't be curious anymore. The wild cat was still in the hands of others. She might be in danger. Although he did not know who had built a palace that looked exactly like the cold palace in Zhou State, Dollar was sure there was no human presence there. Dollar took a step back, but when he tried to enter the teleporter again, he found that the teleporter that he had been able to freely enter was unable to be used again. This was a one-way teleportation magic array. Dollar's expression turned serious. It let out a muffled groan. Did he think that he would be able to trap him here? Yi Baiming was not a piece of trash from the 8 counties of the underworld. Perhaps this mysterious teleportation portal could block most of the warriors and mages from the netherworld, but for Yi Baiming, who had a part of the power of the halberd of the divine battle god, it was not impossible for him to tear a crack in this magical barrier. If they wanted to stop him, then they could go to hell with this lousy teleportation array. He raised his forelimbs, and a terrifying divine power surged out crazily from his sharp claws. Dollar's right forelimb was shining with a golden light. It seemed to feel the threat of the divine power of the 8 barons' divine weapon. The magic power on the teleportation portal began to become violent. Yi Baiming seemed to be piercing through the void, and his right forelimb was about to swing down. But just as Dollar was about to break the barrier, behind him, deep in the palace, there was suddenly a sound of a guqin. It sounded like a flowing stream. There was someone in this palace. This was beyond Dollar's expectation. When he heard the sound of the guqin, Dollar's body shook violently. As if he was possessed, he put down his claws, turned around, and walked in the direction of the sound of the guqin. The sound of the guqin was like a high mountain and flowing water, showing that the person playing the guqin was extraordinary. With every step he took into the palace, Dollar's surprise grew stronger. This place was too similar to the cold palace of Zhou State. But compared to the desolate cold palace, everything in this palace was much more exquisite and gorgeous. If it weren't for the similar layout and coldness of the cold palace, Dollar would never have thought that this was the cold palace. The guqin sound was intermittent, and it led Dollar to the innermost room of the cold palace. Although Dollar had never seen that room with his own eyes, he could determine where it was by relying on his memory and the path he had taken. The cold palace was remote, but it was very spacious. When he was young, Yi Baiming, who was still blind, on the 1st and 15th of every month, he would secretly find his way to the room in the deepest part of the cold palace without telling the palace maids. At that time, Empress Li would begin to play the guqin. A simple but elegant room appeared in front of him. Outside the door was a pool of purple lotus flowers. The door was open, and a woman was sitting in the room. The woman was wearing a violet gauze dress. The face of the woman in silk clothes was so beautiful that one could not help but lose their breath just by looking at it. There were thousands of beautiful women in the world, but there weren't many who could make people's eyes light up like this flower in front of him. This woman was elegant and beautiful, and there was a hint of luxury in her eyes. If Yi Baiming were in human form, he would immediately blurt out, "Mother." Although he had never seen his mother's face, Yi Baiming knew at first glance that this woman was his mother. His mother, who had died more than 10 years ago, was Empress Li of Zhou State, Li Qingqing. The woman in front of him was exactly the same as Empress Li in the painting that Yi Baiming had hung in the cold palace of Zhou State. Yi Baiming was also very familiar with the song she played. That was the first song that Yi Baiming had learned to play after learning the guqin. In this world, only Empress Li could play such a song. The woman lowered her head and played the guqin. Her expression was calm, and her long eyelashes were slightly lowered. It was impossible to tell if she was happy or angry. Her eyes, which were 80% or 90% similar to Yi Baiming's, didn't have any human emotions. Her shoulders were thin, and she looked very delicate. She seemed to be completely engrossed and didn't notice the golden demonic beast that suddenly appeared outside. Jean Coin stood outside the room, and his body couldn't help but tremble slightly. Suddenly, he noticed that there was a lamp on Empress Li's cuisine table. It was the heart sorrow lamp. Even though he had only seen it once, Dollar recognized the lamp that was just inches away from Queen Li. It was the heart-aching lamp that Yunsheng had come to the underworld in search of. The heart sorrow lamp was lit, and the gentle light enveloped Empress Li's body. It added some gentleness to Empress Li's slightly indifferent face. Empress Li didn't seem to notice that someone had barged in. She continued to play the guqin. Yi Baiming unconsciously walked forward. He couldn't help but raise his hand, wanting to gently touch his mother. However, just as the claw approached Queen Li, the gold coin Yi Baiming missed. Chapter 1136. Dollar's claws pierced right through Empress Li's body. Her body was ethereal, as if it would turn into dust in an instant. She was clearly not a living person. She was a ghost. How can this be? Yi Baiming was shocked. Why would his mother's soul be here? How dare you? Who dares to trespass into the Ghost King Palace? Behind him, an old but somewhat familiar voice alerted Yi Baiming. The heart distress lantern suddenly flew out with a whoosh and landed in the hands of the person who had just entered. Dollar took a closer look. The person standing at the door was Shinjizi, the person who had appeared at the Magical Abilities Pavilion and tricked Yunsheng once. Yunsheng gritted her teeth and wanted to take revenge. Why would Shinjizi appear here? What was his relationship with Empress Li? Dollar's mind flashed with a ridiculous thought. Could it be that the builder of the Cold Palace was Shinjizi? No, Dollar thought again. He recalled that Shinjizi had said Ghost King Palace. This was the Ghost King Palace. The Ghost King Palace built in the Ghost King Cave. Could it be that this palace, which was almost the same as the Cold Palace in Zhou State, was built by the Phantasm Ghost King? Only the Phantasm Ghost King would be able to create such a miraculous magic array in the underworld without anyone noticing. Yi Baiming had a clever mind. Combined with Empress Li's situation, he finally understood why the Ghost King Palace was built here. The Ghost King Cave was located in the Ghost Water Stream. It was very close to the Demon Suppression Stone Tablet in the underworld. The yin energy here was very dense. For a ghost, it was undoubtedly the best place to live. Empress Li Qingcheng was just an ordinary person. She was born in a family of merchants. She was not a powerful warrior or magician. She had been dead for more than 10 years. If there was no special method to maintain her, her yin energy would have been long gone. But why would the soul of Empress Li Qingcheng appear here? Generally speaking, only those who had committed grave crimes in the mortal world would be captured by the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon and sent to the underworld. Empress Li's life was full of ups and downs. She was a pitiful person who was harmed by Yi Chengtian and He Yao. But she wasn't a bad person. Also, what was her relationship with the Netherworld Ghost King who built the Ghost King Palace? Gold coin Yi Baiming's heart was filled with doubts. Shinjizi heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Empress Li was unharmed. He didn't expect that it was a demonic beast that could break the inhibition and enter the depths of the Ghost King Palace. The Ghost King Palace looked ordinary, but it was actually filled with traps. Moreover, it was located in the deepest part of the Ghost King Cave. Along the way, there were many restrictions. Earlier, when those reckless experts from the 8 counties of the underworld barged in, they were killed by the restrictions set up by the Phantasm Ghost King. Not even a trace of them was left. Who would have thought that this demonic beast would be able to walk in unimpeded? Shinjizi didn't know that Dollar hadn't encountered a single restriction along the way. The reason he was able to avoid these restrictions was because of Empress Li's zither music. TSK, I remember now. You're the demonic beast of the female mage who threatened this old man. Outside the Ghost King Cave, you were also the one who lured the Arrowtail Battle Rhinoceros away. Shinjizi sized up Dollar. He had an impression of Dollar's powerful aura due to his unique golden scales. He also noticed that Dollar's aura was much stronger than before. He couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. It seemed that the demigod rank Arrowtail Battle Rhinoceros was actually killed by this demonic beast. After Shinjizi released the map of the Ghost Water Stream, he had been hiding in the Ghost Water Stream, waiting for the heroes to fall into his trap. He also noticed that this demonic beast with the mark of a felon had been by Yun Shang's side since a long time ago. He just didn't expect Dollar to be so strong. Dollar's throat rolled as he let out a low roar. If Baby Sheep was here, he might be able to act as a translator. This king also remembers you. You're the old man who tricked little Wildcat. Remember, in this world, if anyone dares to trick this king's woman, only death awaits them. Since you've killed the arrowtail battle rhinoceros, your power must have reached demigod rank or even higher. Shinjizi looked at Dollar with interest. This demonic beast was not to be underestimated. It could understand human language, and its intelligence was much higher than ordinary demonic beasts. Shinjizi could also sense that this demonic beast was a dual cultivator. You must have accidentally entered this place, right? You must be looking for your master. Shinjizi hated Yun Shang very much. That little girl was the first person who dared to bargain with him in all the years he had been in the underworld. Dollar's eyes flashed with murderous intent. There was no trace of the phantasm Ghost King in the Ghost King Palace. That meant the person who kidnapped Yun Shang was the phantasm Ghost King. What was in the teleportation array on the right? Dollar's heart was filled with worry. Right now, he just wanted to kill Shinjizi as soon as possible. Although Shinjizi looked like an old man, he could control the heart lamp. His power could not be weak. He was probably on par with the phantasm Ghost King. Then give me your soul, Shinjizi said. His eyes flashed fiercely as the heart lamp in his hand spun. The strange palace lamp shot out a strange red light. It was about to cover Dollar. Gold Coin Yi Baiming had seen the phantasm Ghost King use that lamp 500 years ago on Taiyuan Mountain. The most powerful thing about the heart lamp was its light. That light had once sucked away the soul of the Zhao states, the Emperor Zhao in red. This old man wanted his soul. What a fool's dream. The heart lamp was very important to Yun Shang. Empress Li's strange behavior must have something to do with it. He had to take back the heart lamp. However, Dollar was not the Emperor Zhao in red. His golden eyes focused, and he suddenly roared to the sky. The red light of the heart lamp that was about to cover Dollar seemed to have entered a blind spot. A black shadow appeared on Dollar's body. That shadow was like a natural barrier, blocking out the light. The second inheritance of the 8 Baron Black Qilin tribe, the Qilin's puppet. Shinjizi's murderous face showed a trace of confusion. He looked at Dollar carefully. This golden demonic beast was from the Black Qilin tribe. Yi Baiming was shocked. Shinjizi recognized the inheritance of the Bakra orcs. Could it be that he was also from the Bakra orcs? Looking at Dollar's eyes, Shinjizi saw the same emotions as a human. Then he understood something. Chapter 1137. God Machine Z wasn't an ordinary person, and he could tell that Dollar wasn't using an ordinary skill. Kirin's puppet was one of the rarest skills in the Kirin inheritance. It could cast any skill or spell that wasn't a God-class skill or a God-class spell. The Kirin's puppet could even resist the light of the Heart Distress Lantern. In Shinjizi's memory, not many people had received the Kirin's puppet in the second inheritance, even in the Black Kirin tribe. In the history of the Kirin tribe, there were less than 10 people who had received the Kirin's puppet. The second inheritance was the Kirin's puppet. Only the strongest Bakra orcs in history, 8 Baron Kirin King Yishio, and the current leader of the Kirin tribe, Black Light. You're actually someone from the Black Qilin tribe. It's a misunderstanding. It's really a case of water rushing against the Dragon King's temple. You don't recognize your own family. I'm from the 8 Desolaces continent. Looking at your appearance, you already have spiritual awareness. However, you haven't gone through the Beast God's baptism, so you're still in beast form. Shinjizi finally saw that this golden magical beast was a Qilin. Even though the beast clans of the 8 Wastelands and the human clan had always been at odds. However, the 8 Wastelands beast clans also admitted that the human race was much more advanced than the 8 Wastelands beast clans in terms of intelligence and country management. Back when the 8 Baron tribe was the leader, the beasts used a special method to transform into humans. It was a tradition that had been maintained to this day. But not all beasts could transform into humans. Some of the weaker beasts stayed in beast form their entire lives. Only a small portion of the beast race with noble bloodlines and the rulers of the upper class could be baptized by the beast god altar at a young age. They could transform into human form from a young age and maintain their human form. They could only transform into beast form if they were in a constant state of battle. Green, purple, and black Lin were the latter. After transforming into human form, the beasts looked exactly the same as ordinary humans even if they stood in a crowd. Shinjizi saw that Dollar had a mind, but he couldn't transform into a human. He thought it was because he was a commoner and hadn't been baptized by the beast god altar. Dollar didn't say anything, and he simply nodded in agreement with God Machine Z. When Shinjizi heard this, he pulled out a crystal and gave it to Dollar. He said, "This is a spirit speech crystal. If a beast has a mind of its own, it will be able to speak like a human." The variety of magic crystals on the 8 Desolates continent was much more abundant than on the Boundless continent. This spirit language crystal could be considered an all-purpose translation device that could convert all kinds of beast languages. Therefore, when the descendants of the Bakra orcs came to the Boundless land, they could freely communicate with the human race. Dollar guessed God Machine Z's identity wasn't simple, but he didn't expect people from 8 Baron to have infiltrated the infinite and the underworld. Without hesitation, Dollar picked up the spirit word crystal. When the crystal was in his hand, Dollar felt a cold magic power enter his body. His mouth was now able to speak. No matter what, he had to find out more about the other party first. "Who are you?" This was the first time Dollar had spoken since he had become a gold Kirin. In the past, aside from Baby Sheep, who was a universe god beast, no one could understand him. "I am the second priest of the 8 Baron Beast God Altar, God Machine Z. I am also the person in charge of the God Machine Pavilion in the underworld. What is your name? You don't seem to be from the Black Kirin tribe." God Machine Z saw Dollar put away his combat power, and he thought he really was a Bakra orcs. He wanted to win him over. God Machine Z was the priest of the Beast God Altar, and he was very respected there. But over the years, the Bakra orcs had become stronger. They had become a threat to the Beast God Altar. Shinjizi and the other priests of the Beast God Altar had been dissatisfied for a long time. The Beast God Altar was especially angry and resentful towards the Beast God tribe of the 8 Wilderness. However, due to the fact that the clan leaders of the orc tribes were all very powerful, the high priests had been cultivating their forces and preparing to replace the clan leaders of the orc tribes even though they didn't do anything on the surface. Among them, the priests were most worried about the Black Kirin tribe. The reason was because He Yao of the Black Kirin tribe was very strong. But because the Black Kirin tribe was very united and loyal to He Yao, the Beast God Altar couldn't find a chance. But in the past 2 years, God Machine Z had a chance. It was said that He Yao was injured when he invaded the Boundless continent. He Yao was injured, and when he returned to the 8 Baron continent, he brought back a long-lost illegitimate son. The illegitimate son was strong, but he was cold. As soon as he returned, He Yao passed the position of vice patriarch to him. This matter caused a huge uproar in the Black Qilin tribe. In the Black Qilin tribe, many people were complaining. He Yao didn't care. He had been in seclusion for the past few years to heal. The leader's affairs were handed over to his daughter, He Lin, and his illegitimate son. God Machine Z thought that if he sent the baptized Dollar to the Black Kirin tribe and let him challenge He Yao's position would be shaken. Of course, God Machine Z didn't tell Dollar about his plans. In his opinion, Dollar was just a demon who had been bewitched by a human magician. He should be easy to fool. He didn't know that Dollar was already on guard against his schemes. He knew that God Machine Z was very cunning. He must have been on good terms with him because of his strength. Looking at God Machine Z, he didn't know about his relationship with He Yao. Dollar didn't know that He Yao had 2 illegitimate sons on the Boundless continent. It was a secret. The Beast God Altar and the other tribes didn't know. This was good. He could pretend to be on good terms with this old man and see why someone from the Beast God Altar would appear in the underworld. "I am Dollar. I have been living in the human world. A few years ago, the relationship between the Bakra orcs and the humans worsened, so I was forced to go to the underworld. On the way, I met my master. Dollar's words were 30% true and 70% false. Even a sly old fox like Shinjizi couldn't see any flaws in the plan. So it's Brother Dollar. With your strength, you don't need to be under a human summoner. If you are willing, I can take you to Ba Huang continent. That is where the demon beasts truly live. Shinjizi now believed Dollar's words. Dollar saw that he was fooled, so he asked again, "If there is such a place, I am willing to go. But Master Priest, why are you in the underworld?" Chapter 1138. Hearing Dollar's question, Shinjizi hesitated for a moment. He did not answer immediately. Instead, he asked, "Little Brother Dollar, I saw that you were very close to that human female magician. What is your relationship with her?" Although Shinjizi wanted to recruit Dollar, he was old and the second priest of the beast god altar. He was still very suspicious. Dollar had tried his best to protect Yun Shang, so their relationship must not be simple. That female magician was very cunning. Her purpose in coming to the underworld must not be simple. If they found out about his big plan, it would ruin everything. She is a summoner, but I didn't sign a contract with her. I only agreed to protect her because she saved my life. But that's only for this trip to the Ghost King Cave. Dollar knew God Machine Z was testing him, and he wasn't going to let him get away with it. So he made sure his lie was flawless. Dollar used to live in the human world. He always thought it was because of the demonic beasts that he lived in the mountains. But many years ago, the beast clans of the 8 Wastelands had invaded Bloody Sky Metropolis Jia. In that great battle, while the beast clans of the 8 Wastelands had been defeated in the end, the human race had suffered great losses as a result. The Emperor Zhao in red and the young judge of the temple were killed. The human race was angry and began to kill all the demonic beasts on the continent. Even the demonic beasts in the mountains and forests were not spared. Dollar was not spared either. In order to escape, he killed many human warriors and magicians. In the end, he was captured by the four-sided Hell Dragon and sent to the underworld. Not long after he arrived in the underworld, he offended the local forces in Jima County. He was hunted down, and when he escaped, he was injured. A female magician happened to pass by and saved him. She took the opportunity to form a contract with him. Shinjizi listened and tried to guess the truth of Dollar's words. He looked carefully. Other than the mark of the 1,000-man killer on his back, there were no other signs of a summoned beast. At least this proved that he was not the female magician's contracted beast. Actually, even if you're that woman's contracted magical beast, as long as you're not that female summoner's lifebound magical beast, it's fine. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. I'm afraid that woman is already dead. Shinjizi stared at Dollar as he spoke. He wanted to see if there was anything strange about Dollar's face. But Dollar's expression didn't change. Seeing this, God Machine Z believed Dollar's words. The second priest Durin, why do you say that? She must have entered the teleporter on the right. Is that teleporter even more dangerous than this one? Dollar suppressed his anxiety and pretended to be calm. When he first heard the news, his heart was in turmoil, but he quickly calmed down. The little wild cat was not someone who would die so easily. Although she might not be as strong as him in terms of strength, she was definitely not someone easy to deal with when it came to shrewdness and scheming. Actually, it's not just that female summoner. Everyone who enters the teleportation portal on the right will die. There's a magic array inside, and the guardian of the magic array is the Netherworld Ghost King. Do you think that in the Netherworld, other than the Netherworld world gods, there's anyone who could be a match for the Netherworld Ghost King? She should have already died at the hands of the Netherworld Ghost King. After saying this, Shinjizi looked at the heart's lamp in his hand. Dollar noticed that while they were talking, the heart's lamp's light had become much brighter. Just as Shinjizi had said, the teleportation formation on the right was currently experiencing an unprecedented crisis. After Yun Shang and Dollar were separated, she entered the teleporter on the right. When she entered the teleporter, she had many guesses about the dangers she would face. But Yun Shang didn't expect that at the end of the teleporter on the right, there would be another magic array. And this was a magic array. Hua, after Yun Shang, Popping Sheep, and Blockhead entered the teleporter. They were quickly teleported inside. But unlike Dollar, they didn't see a palace. What awaited them was a shocking magic array. This magic array was different from ordinary magic arrays. Its shape was like a tunnel, and it was made up of countless small magic arrays. These magic arrays were all hexagonal, and most of the magic arrays had a person or a magic beast sealed inside. These people or magic beasts all had their eyes wide open, as if they had seen something terrifying. They were motionless, and they looked like they were dead. "Dear Master, it's the martial gods from before." Popping Sheep was originally curious about this magic array, but he suddenly realized that there were a few familiar faces in the small magic arrays not far away. These people were the martial gods from the Netherworld 8 counties who had entered the magic array before Yunshang. Their appearances were exactly the same as the others in the small magic arrays. They all looked like they had been scared to death. Yunshang had a bad premonition. If Mei guessed wrongly, these people were all sealed in these magic arrays while they were still alive. What was the use of these large and small magic arrays that were constructed together to form a large magic array? Could it be that the Phantasm Ghost King was sealed in a part of this magical tunnel? Yunshang had the urge to turn around and leave. No wonder no one had been able to leave this teleporter. Those who had entered the teleporter must have been sealed in similar small magic arrays. But when she thought about how she still needed to find the Heart Distress Lantern, she could only endure it. Yunshang continued to walk forward. At the entrance of the magic array were the martial gods who had just entered the teleporter. It seemed that this magic tunnel was sealed according to the order in which people entered the teleporter. This meant that the Phantasm Ghost King was most likely sealed in the innermost part. Yunshang walked until she reached the bottom of the magic tunnel. Her gaze suddenly stopped, landing at the bottom of the tunnel. At the end of the tunnel was a magic wall, and a man was sealed in the wall. The man had sword-like eyebrows, a high-nosed bridge, and light purple eyes. On the left side of his face, there was a fiery rose in full bloom, like a tattoo. That rose not only did not make him look overly rouged, but it also made the man exude a magnificent and seductive aura. This was a person who was hard to forget after a single glance. This was a man who could even bewitch darkness. His appearance made people forget to breathe for a moment. This man, as long as one saw him, would never be forgotten. Chapter 1139. The Phantasm Ghost King. She had finally found him. Yunshang was overjoyed, but suddenly her eyelids twitched. Her instincts as a doctor made her keenly sense that something was wrong. Boom! The magic wall exploded with a loud bang. The powerful magic fluctuations that surged out could instantly tear a person to pieces. But at the same time that the magic wall exploded, a gray light surged out from Yunshang's flying magic scepter. Space-time seal. The magic fluctuations that formed after the explosion stopped in an instant. Not bad. It's a pity that it's useless against I. A light sigh came from behind the magic wall. That enchanting man who looked like a rose walked out. With a wave of his beautiful sleeve, the space-time seal's effect disappeared. With just one move, the space-time seal's effect was broken. The Phantasm Ghost King's strength was much stronger than it was 500 years ago. Phantasm Ghost King, you really didn't die. Yunshang took a deep breath. Just now, if her reaction had been half a beat slower, she would have been torn apart by the magic fluctuations that formed after the magic wall shattered. This unpredictable man actually used such a sinister method. Little girl, you look very familiar. The Phantasm Ghost King's figure moved like a gust of wind and suddenly approached Yunshang. He very ambiguously approached Yunshang. Other than a few specific people, Yunshang normally didn't like to be close to others. She was disgusted and was about to back away when she suddenly realized that her body seemed to be controlled by some kind of power. Her movements were much slower. I remember you. You're the female magician I met on Taiyuan Mountain 500 years ago. The corner of the Phantasm Ghost King's mouth curled up. His enchanting face that was like that of a peerless beauty came close to Yunshang and carefully examined Yunshang. Yunshang's face was red with anger. The Phantasm Ghost King gave people a very bad feeling. It was as if there was a snake crawling on their skin. However, no matter how hard she tried, she was unable to break the Phantasm Ghost King's control over her body. Don't try to resist. This demon-suppressing formation is I's life magic array. Any person or magical beast that enters here will be under I's control. If I want to kill you, it will be as easy as crushing an ant. The Netherworld Ghost King was not boasting. This was a special demon-suppressing formation that the Phantasm Ghost King had painstakingly built over the past 20 years. He didn't even hesitate to use a part of his life force as the eye of the magic array. If it weren't for the fact that Yunshang had a lot of energy fluctuations that caught the Phantasm Ghost King's attention when she entered the teleportation array, Yunshang would have already met the same fate as those martial gods. The Phantasm Ghost King's cold breath swept over Yunshang's face inch by inch, causing goosebumps to appear on her face. Tisk, TSK. How strange. If I remember correctly, you should have only been back in the human world for a few years. Back then, you were only a sky magician. Now, you're already a magic god and a necromancer. The Phantasm Ghost King's nose suddenly twitched like a puppy's nose. On the Phantasm Ghost King's handsome face, those purple eyes that didn't seem like a mortal's showed signs of emotion for the first time. Damn it, no wonder this woman had such a strong fluctuation of darkness magic. She must have entered the cultivation magic array before entering the demon-suppressing formation. Moreover, she must have successfully merged with the darkness magic spring inside. Looking at the progress of her cultivation, the darkness magic spring inside the cultivation magic array must have been completely absorbed. Thinking of this, the Phantasm Ghost King's heart couldn't help but twitch. Only the heavens knew how much effort he had expended to obtain the darkness magic spring. The cultivation magic array was also the place where the Phantasm Ghost King used to cultivate. A few years ago, he would have gone there to cultivate. It was only because the demon-suppressing formation was getting more and more complete that he didn't cultivate the magic array because he needed to stay inside it day and night. He didn't expect that Yunshang, who came out of nowhere, would have reaped all the benefits. While the Phantasm Ghost King was enraged, he also felt that it was a good thing that this woman's strength wasn't enough to absorb the darkness magic cores. Otherwise, he would have vomited blood. Since you've absorbed this Emperor's darkness magic spring, I'll give you your life in exchange for it. You should have noticed that most of the magic arrays here already have people sealed inside them. The magic array is almost complete. I just happen to need the soul of a magic god to activate this demon-suppressing formation. The Phantasm Ghost King's anger turned into joy. His demon-suppressing magic array was modeled after the demon-suppressing stone steel in the Shiwei Gate. However, it was different from the demon-suppressing stone steel in the Shiwei Gate. The Phantasm Ghost King's magic array was much smaller, and the amount of magic arrays that could seal souls was also much smaller. However, the strength of the souls that were used to maintain the magic array was much stronger than the Shiwei Gate stone steel. At a glance, the weakest of the souls sealed in the demon-suppressing formation was at least a martial saint or a sky magician. The Phantasm Ghost King's words were indescribably strange in Yunshang's ears. Demon-suppressing formation. Could it be that this magic array's function is the same as the demon-suppressing stone steel? The Ghost King's inheritance and the news of his death were all fake? Their goal was to lure people here? When Yunshang connected the dots, she suddenly realized that she and the underworld's experts had all been played like monkeys. It seemed that the Phantasm Ghost King and that old man Shinjizi had already colluded with each other. Their goal was to lure the underworld's experts here to snatch the treasure. There were roughly 10,000 souls sealed in this magic array. That meant that a large number of demonic beasts and experts had already been deceived. Damn it! Yunshang gnashed her teeth in hatred. She had wholeheartedly wanted to find the heart-distressed lantern for her mother, but she never expected that she would fall into the Phantasm Ghost King's trap. Hee, little girl, you're still young, but those so-called martial god realm experts are a lot smarter. That's right. Shinjizi was deliberately arranged by this king. The information about the Ghost King Cave was also fake. Since you're going to die anyway, I'll give you a quick death. This demon-suppressing magic array and the demon-suppressing stone steel in the Shiwei Gate are somewhat similar in structure, but in reality, they're different. As for why I created this magic array, it's because I want to use it to save a person." As the Phantasm Ghost King spoke, his purple eyes flashed with a touch of gentleness. Killing 10,000 people just to save a single person? Yun Shang couldn't help but want to curse out loud. What bullshit, Phantasm Ghost King. This guy was simply a madman. However, at the same time, Yun Shang was also very curious. Just who could make the temperamental Phantasm Ghost King, who had never submitted to anyone, become like this? Chapter 1140. The Phantasm Ghost King seemed to have sunk into his memories. At that moment, the magic ripples in the magic array grew stronger. In truth, the magic array behind the teleportation array was still incomplete. The stronger the magic ripples, the closer it was to completion. Now, all that was left was to fuse the last strand of soul into the magic array. In this expedition to the Ghost King Cave, the magic array had absorbed a large amount of powerful souls. Especially the souls of the martial gods that had entered the Ghost King's blood. They were all very powerful. In addition to the magic god-level soul of the girl before him, the magic array would be completed perfectly. As long as the magic array was completed, he would be able to reconstruct Qingqing's soul. She would no longer be as unconscious as she was now, not even a ghost. Thinking of this, the Phantasm Ghost King's eyes flashed with tenderness. "To tell you the truth, little girl, I don't want to kill you. You can only blame yourself for trespassing in a place you shouldn't have." The Phantasm Ghost King glanced at Yun Shang. The Phantasm Ghost King had lived in the three realms for even longer than the underworld god Bo Bo Yang. He had seen countless people, but only a few had left an impression on him. The Phantasm Ghost King had a slight impression of this little girl. Aside from her style of doing things being somewhat similar to the Ghost King himself, her rapid improvement in strength was also one of the reasons why the Phantasm Ghost King couldn't help but pay attention to her. Just now, the Phantasm Ghost King had probed a little and discovered that Yun Shang actually possessed a 5-elemental magic soul that even he felt ashamed of. No, to be exact, it was a 6-elemental magic soul. Although it was very weak, the Phantasm Ghost King was certain that Yun Shang still had a portion of the light magic soul in her body. Moreover, she was a summoner and a 6-elemental magician. Even in the god realm, such conditions were enviable. If this girl was given a certain amount of time, she would definitely become an ambitious and ruthless person who could shake the three realms. What a pity! What a pity! He really wanted to cause trouble for those old hairy fellows in the god realm, but in order to save Qingqing, he could only be ruthless and destroy this good seedling. The Phantasm Ghost King was different from the other experts of the mortal world. For many years, he didn't belong to any country or sect. Even the 4 counties under his control were only in name. If he met someone he didn't like, he would casually kill them. This was how he became the ruler of the 4 counties. The Netherworld Ghost King was used to being unrestrained in the Netherworld. He had done everything, but he had never taken in a disciple. In his opinion, if he met a good seedling, he should train him well. It would be best if he could take him in as his disciple and make him a little ghost king or something. In the underworld, there were too few people who could fulfill his conditions. It wasn't easy to find one, but it was used to construct the demon-suppressing array. It would be a lie if the Netherworld Ghost King said that he wasn't depressed. However, he would choose a disciple sooner or later, but he only had one person he loved. After weighing the pros and cons, the Netherworld Ghost King decided to kill Yun Shang and complete the demon-suppressing formation. The Netherworld Ghost King raised his hand and a magic array appeared under Yun Shang's body. "Bo Bo! Don't hurt your beloved master." Seeing that the Phantasm Ghost King was about to hurt Yun Shang, Bo Bo Sheep charged towards the Phantasm Ghost King. The Netherworld Ghost King lightly laughed. He didn't even bother to dodge. Baby Sheep rammed into the Netherworld Ghost King's body with a bang. This ramming shocked Yun Shang and the other demonic beasts. Not only was the Netherworld Ghost King not sent flying, he didn't even move an inch. Poor Baby Sheep was shaken by the recoil and saw stars. It was dizzy and barely managed to stay conscious. Its wings were grabbed by the Netherworld Ghost King's 2 fingers. No matter how hard it tried, it couldn't let go. "Ah, it hurts. You're a big pervert. You've already refined a divine body. Baby sheep's monstrous strength could send anyone it saw flying. However, it had no effect on the Netherworld Ghost King. Only those who had refined an immortal divine body would be immune to baby sheep's monstrous strength. What an interesting little guy. Seeing that you're quite cute, I might as well capture you and give you to Ching Ching as a pet. The Netherworld Ghost King's devilish purple eyes impolitely sized up baby sheep. A pet. This unreasonable fellow actually wanted to make a world deity beast a pet. Too shameful, too shameful. Big pervert, you're not allowed to insult me. Baby sheep is not a pet. If you dare, baby sheep will kill your woman and then commit suicide. Baby sheep was furious. Why wasn't it a world deity? If it was, it would definitely send this purple-eyed freak to the most desolate place and let him live a life worse than death. Impudent. You actually dare to threaten me? The Netherworld Ghost King flew into a rage out of humiliation. No one had ever dared to speak to him in such a tone, let alone a demonic beast that didn't know anything. What he hated the most in his life was people threatening him with Ching Ching's safety. The Netherworld Ghost King's subordinate clenched his fist, wanting to take care of baby sheep. The Netherworld Ghost King furrowed his brows and carefully looked at baby sheep. Suddenly, a strange expression flashed through his purple eyes. Netherworld Ghost King. Yunshang's expression couldn't help but change. The Netherworld Ghost King was an existence close to God. If his palm landed, baby sheep would most likely, however, just as the Phantasm Ghost King's palm landed on Popping Sheep's soft body. Popping Sheep's pink fur emitted a bluish-black light. At the same time, a strange energy fluctuation spread out from Popping Sheep's body. A layer of ice formed on the Phantasm Ghost King's palm as a cold Yin-Chi invaded the Phantasm Ghost King's palm. Baby Sheep was still struggling. The Netherworld Ghost King lowered his head and looked at his own hand. In the Netherworld, there was only one person who could injure the Netherworld Ghost King in so many years. This power. So, this little guy with pink fur was actually his. Who would have thought that the high and mighty Netherworld god would also have a reverse scale? A mischievous expression appeared in the Netherworld Ghost King's eyes. He withdrew his hand and threw baby sheep away. Who would have thought that this magical beast of yours would have such an origin? However, its origin can only protect itself. You and your other magical beasts won't have such good fortune. How could the Netherworld Ghost King not see that the beast's speech ring on Yunshang's hand was not ordinary? This girl had many more interesting things on her body than he had imagined. After speaking, the Netherworld Ghost King waved his sleeve and a black whirlwind swept towards Yunshang. Woo-woo, baby sheep, don't go. Baby sheep is Master's dear little friend and wants to die with Master. If Master dies, baby sheep doesn't want to live either. Baby sheep began to wail. Baby sheep ignored the black whirlwind and pounced towards Yunshang, crying his heart out. This time he wasn't just wailing, he was truly crying. His tears soaked Yunshang's mage robe. Today is the Women's Day. Everyone should be happy. Chapter 1141. Yunshang's heart ached when she saw baby sheep in such a state. Baby sheep couldn't bear to part with her, and she wasn't willing to let it go either. However, if they didn't leave and stayed, it would be more dangerous. The Phantasm Ghost King already had a divine body. In other words, the only difference between him and a true god was the titled god. The Phantasm Ghost King couldn't be bothered with Yunshang and baby sheep's reluctance. The black whirlwind quickly enveloped Yunshang, and baby sheep was ruthlessly thrown out. As long as the black whirlwind completely enveloped Yunshang, she would become a part of the demon-suppressing formation like the other underworld experts. Yunshang's life would also disappear. Could it be that she was just going to wait for her death? Yunshang's gaze hardened. Suddenly, several rays of light shot out from the beast language ring in her hand. The Phantasm Ghost King wasn't too surprised when he saw so many powerful magical beasts appear together. She could even contract a magical beast like baby sheep. This female summoner's talent in summoning was definitely not inferior to her talent in magic. Stubborn. I already said that every corner of this demon-suppressing formation is Ai's territory. Although your magical beasts are pretty strong, it's a pity that they will be implicated by you. He shook his head and sighed. Wait. Phantasm Ghost King. It's fine if you want to kill me, but I have a request. Let go of my magical beasts, including baby sheep. If I'm not wrong, this demon-suppressing formation can be completed with my soul alone. These magical beasts are all magical beasts that have gone through life and death with me for many years. They are innocent. Let them go. Yun Shang sternly shouted. The Phantasm Ghost King was stunned. He didn't expect Yun Shang to make such a request. He had seen many humans in his life. Shouldn't they be crying for their parents and desperately begging for mercy? This girl only wanted him to let her magical beasts go. Since when did summoners place importance on magical beasts? However, Yun Shang's actions had indeed moved the Phantasm Ghost King. Alright, I find you pleasing to the eye. Since you're about to die, I'll promise you this once. You'll be the only one left. As for the others, I'll let them go. The Netherworld Ghost King waved his hand. Bobo, I'm not leaving. Bobo Sheep was still unwilling to give up and desperately rushed forward. Bobo, listen to me. Leave this place obediently. You have to grow up quickly and become a world deity of the mortal realm. Don't embarrass Master. Yun Shang's voice was choked with sobs. The other demonic beasts were also unwilling to leave when they saw this scene. Seeing that things had come to this, Yun Shang hardened her heart and ignored Baby Sheep's pleas. What she was most worried about was Popo's safety. The other magical beasts were under normal contract with her. Even if something happened to her, they would at most cancel the contract and regain their freedom. However, Bobo was different. He was under a life contract with her. Yun Shang only hoped that Bobo's junior brother, the world deity of the underworld, would be able to help Bobo get through this crisis. All of you, leave immediately. Night Demon Queen, Water Queen, take Bobo Sheep and leave with him. Yun Shang sternly shouted. Don't touch me. We're all bad people. We won't save you. Bobo Sheep's emotions rebounded as he struggled. Bobo, if you continue like this, I'll shatter my own magic soul. Yun Shang was most worried about Bobo Sheep. When he was still an egg, he had been together with Yun Shang. Among all the magical beasts, he had the deepest relationship with Yun Shang. Yun Shang's words subdued the sheep. It drooped its wings and let the Night Demon Queen and the Water Spirit Queen clamp it on its left and right. Night Demon Queen and Water Fairy Queen glanced at each other. Without any hesitation, they pulled Bobo. With a wave of the Netherworld Ghost King's sleeve, the magical beasts were swept up by a black hurricane and forced out of the teleportation array. As soon as they left the teleportation array, Bobo Sheep threw off Night Demon Queen and Water Fairy Queen's hands in a fit of pique. He had a hopeless expression as he curled up in a corner. His eyes were brimming with tears as he muttered, Bobo, I hate all of you. Don't come near Bobo. My dear master is about to die. Bobo also doesn't want to live anymore. Bobo wants to go on a hunger strike. Oh. Bobo, if you don't want to live anymore, then who's going to help think of a way to save Master? Even though Yun Shang had asked them to leave, all the magical beasts still recognized Yun Shang as their master. Their master was still concerned about them even at her final moments. How could they abandon their master and escape by themselves? Hearing that there was still a way to save Master, the tears in Bobo Sheep's eyes immediately disappeared. Wait, you said there was still a way to save Master? Then why did you leave? Master is facing that big pervert alone. It's too pitiful. Bobo looked at the magical beasts. TCH, leaving doesn't mean that we're betraying Master. That's also a tactic. Bobo, you've been with Master for the longest time. Why haven't you learned how to deal with people like Master? Our strength is inferior to the Phantasm Ghost King. Even if we stay, it's useless. We'll only lose a few more lives. Queen Night Demon's enchanting face was full of scheming. Among all of Yun Shang's magical beasts, Queen Night Demon might not be the strongest in terms of strength. But when it comes to methods and all kinds of underhanded means, she was the most similar to Yun Shang. In her early years, she hid in the Immortal Keeper Nation and dealt with the elf tribe that was several times stronger than her. This had also nurtured her to think thrice before doing anything and strive for stability. Queen Night Demon understood that if they wanted to save Master, they wouldn't be able to do it. Right now, there was only one way, and that was to call for reinforcements. Reinforcements? Are you saying that we should go find that Qilin brat? Although he's very strong, he might not be that big pervert's opponent. Bobo Sheep hesitated. Just having the golden Qilin isn't enough. Moreover, we still don't know where it is right now. How is it compared to that demigod rank magical beast? We don't know. Master's situation is very critical. We must think of the best way. When Queen Night Demon said this, the other magical beasts didn't understand. If the golden Qilin wasn't safe, then how were they going to save Master? Queen Night Demon's beautiful eyes turned and her gaze fell on Bobo Sheep. Bobo Sheep felt his hair stand on end from her gaze and felt uncomfortable all over. Bobo, tell me honestly, how is your relationship with the underworld deity? For Master, you have to find the underworld deity for help. Queen Night Demon had long suspected that the relationship between Bobo and the underworld deity was not ordinary. Just now, the Phantasm Ghost King had let Bobo go at the last moment. From his tone, it seemed that he had let Bobo go because of someone. Since that was the case, there was a high possibility that Bobo could find the underworld deity to save Master. Chapter 1142. Hearing Night Demon Queen's words, all the magical beasts suddenly understood. That's right, as expected of the Night Demon Queen, this idea is indeed feasible, and the success rate is very high. If there was anyone in the underworld who could compete with the Ghost King, it would be the god of the underworld. The Netherworld Ghost King had a divine body, and so did the Netherworld World Deity. Only a deity could fight against a deity. Even if the two of them did not fight, the Netherworld Ghost King would probably let his master off for the sake of the Netherworld World Deity. Hey! Quick! Tell us, can you ask the underworld god for help? The magical beasts surrounded the sheep. That's right. Mwahaha. All my hopes are on you. Aren't you reluctant to see Master die? Didn't you say that the underworld god is your junior brother? It should be easy for me to ask for your junior brother's help. On the other hand, Baby Sheep's expression was not right. It looked as if it had been wronged and scared. Wah, can we not look for him? He's even scarier than that big pervert inside. Kissing Sheep looked like he was about to howl again. The Night Demon Queen had long been mentally prepared. She covered the mouth of the sheep with her palm to prevent it from crying out tragically and torturing the ears of the other beasts. You have to look for it. You have to look for it. Otherwise, you'll be the main culprit who caused Master's death. Her face was fierce, looking like a wolf grandmother. Her sobs were stuck in her throat. The main culprit who caused Master's death. It wasn't. But, Baby Sheep's face was filled with misery. But what? Or are you saying that you don't have the confidence to find the underworld god in such a short time? Queen Night Demon was worried about this. That's not it. Bobo has a way to immediately find the underworld god. Don't forget, this world deity is an universe deity. I'm different from you guys, Bobo Sheep said proudly and pouted. These little beasts were looking down on universe deities. A universe deity was the deity of a world. The universe deity of the underworld was especially powerful. Even among the deities, he was considered a superior deity. In the underworld, as long as the underworld god wanted to, he could instantly teleport to any location. Then it's settled. Hurry up and contact the god of the underworld. If we delay any longer, Master's soul will be scattered. When the demonic beasts heard this, they saw that there was hope. They all let out a collective sigh of relief. But on the face of Kissing Sheep, it looked even more miserable than if its owner had died. Indeed, it had a piece of netherworld jade that could summon netherworld deities. However, if it were to use the underworld jade, it would owe the underworld world deity a huge favor. This piece of nether jade had some history. A scene flashed in Popping Sheep's mind. Many years ago, when it was still an egg, due to its lack of skills, it was always bullied even among the deities. On a certain night, it was hiding in the realm's meditation land. It felt sad for its own weakness and would cry from time to time. It just so happened that its master, which was also its mother goddess, had passed by the realm meditation land. The conversation between the master and disciple was as follows. No wonder I couldn't find you. Why are you hiding here? Ing, my dearest master. How did you discover me? Bobo, you clearly dodged it very well. A certain mother goddess rolled her eyes. Moi. Are you feeling sad because your strength is too weak again? Master, Bobo's strength is too weak. When we go to the human realm in the future, how will we govern the human realm? Bobo will definitely be bullied by others. I heard that the people of the mortal realm are all very bad. Bobo, it's best that you don't go and embarrass yourself by becoming some world deity of the mortal realm. So what? Being weak doesn't mean that you can't become a world deity. You can find a backer. For example, find someone who is much stronger than you to protect you. Whoever doesn't listen to you, let that person kill them. Kill. A certain mother goddess said without hesitation. A certain mother goddess, as the war god of the god realm, spoke with a murderous aura. She was completely unaware that she had instilled extremely bad thoughts into her little disciple. Bobo stopped crying and had an epiphany overnight. The next day, Bobo found the underworld quasi-world deity, who was also Bobo's little junior brother, Ming-Ri. Although at that time, Bobo and Ming-Ri were world deities and quasi-world deities, it sounded like there was only a literal difference between the two. But in fact, the difference between the two was like heaven and earth. A quasi-world deity could already assist a world deity in carrying out the affairs of the world deity. As long as they practiced for 100 years, they could take over the position of a world deity. But a quasi-world deity was different. At most, he was one of the candidates for the position of world deity. It was very likely that he would be replaced by others. At that time, the underworld quasi-world deity who was already very powerful was just an iceberg man who looked like he was only 17 or 18 years old. Most of the time, he was not in the world meditation land. Bobo was also lucky to find a quasi-world deity. One was a chubby pink egg. The other was an iceberg man who could freeze people to death with one look. Ming-Ri, can you protect me? At that time, although the underworld deity was not old, his iceberg face was already deeply ingrained. Among the deities, except for Puffed Egg who did not know what fear was, most people avoided him. Ming-Ri's handsome face was taut. After thinking for 3 seconds, he said, okay. Wow. Ming-Ri actually agreed. Puffed Egg's face was dull. He thought that he would have to pester Ming-Ri for a long time. He handed Bobo a stone. What is this? Bobo did not expect that this guy who usually looked cold would actually agree to his request. Ming-Yu, if someone bullies you, take out this stone. If the situation is urgent, you can crush the stone and I will appear. Ming-Ri's face was still taut. The words he said were emotionless and stiff. Then how should Bobo repay you? Bobo doesn't have any treasure to give you. Puffed Egg hesitated. Considering Ming-Ri's strength, Puffed Egg carefully put away the Ming-Yu. This was a life-saving talisman for him to roam the 3 realms of deities and underworld in the future. Pay with your body. Ming-Ri threw down these 2 words and left. Pay with your body. Puffed Egg was instantly in a mess. What the son of the underworld meant was to cook it and eat it. How cruel. Wasn't he just protecting it? Why did he have to cook such a cute Bobo? Ming-Ri, that bad boy, must have coveted its meat for a long time. Puffed Egg angrily threw the Ming-Yu away. It would not be fooled. If it threw the Ming-Yu away, it would not need it for the rest of its life. However, as soon as Egg popping through the underworld jade and turned around, the piece of underworld jade flew back to Egg Popping's body. After a few times, no matter where Puffed Egg threw the Ming-Yu away, the Ming-Yu would return to Puffed Egg's body. Chapter 1143. Later, when Popo was sent to the human world to train, he accidentally lost contact with the god world, and was accidentally found by Hu Juxing. Then Yun Sheng found Popo in the beast language ring. During this period, Puffed Egg lost part of its memory of the god world. It was not until Yun Sheng hatched it that it gradually remembered everything in the past, as well as the agreement between it and Ming-Ri. It also knew that not long after it left the underworld, Ming-Ri went to the underworld and officially became the world god of the underworld. Therefore, Popo's memory of the god of the underworld was still that he had bad intentions towards its flesh. Previously, when Yunsheng mentioned going to the underworld, Popo had a reluctant look on her face. In Popo's view, going to the underworld was like a sheep entering the tiger's mouth. Now you should know why this world god is unwilling to ask for help from that bad fellow, Ming-Ri. He will eat me. Thinking of this, Bobo felt that he was very pitiful. He had originally hoped that his words would attract the sympathy of the magical beasts, but who knew that after he finished speaking, there would be a deathly silence. The magical beasts were speechless. Even the centipede ant general, who had the worst thinking ability, understood. What was the structure of Popo's brain? Even it had heard clearly that the god of the underworld did not mean what Popo thought it meant. Queen Night Demon coughed twice. She wondered if she should remind Bobo that the universe god's compensation was not about eating it. However, it was better for the parties involved to solve such a beautiful misunderstanding. But Queen Night Demon was more curious about how the world god of the underworld would make Popo pay with its body if Popo was always like this. Could it be that the world god of the underworld also grew 3 heads and 6 arms, and had a strong taste? But these were not important. The most important thing was to save its master. Well, then Popo will try to crush the jade, but Popo can't guarantee that it will be effective. After all, it was a long, long time ago, and he may have forgotten it. After weighing the pros and cons, Popo felt that it could not sit and watch its master be killed. It rubbed its body and took out a piece of jade. That piece of nether jade was shaped like a goose egg. Its color was similar to Rumo, and it was suffused with a delicate luster. Taking a closer look, it looked very similar to the egg-shaped baby sheep. Bobo Sheep clenched his teeth and his face turned red. With a crack, the nether jade was crushed. The sheep didn't know that as it was sobbing and sobbing to the other beasts, there was a person standing not too far away. But because of the magic restriction, Bobo and the other magical beasts didn't notice that there was a person there. So that's how it is. No wonder that weakling was in a hurry to go to the underworld to train. Shouldn't we teach it the true meaning of paying with its body? Dressed in a black and gold underworld deity robe, underworld deity Ming-Ri stroked his chin with his slender fingers. A playful look flashed across those eyes that could devour a person's soul. He suddenly appeared in front of Papa Sheep and the magical beasts. The tall figure that suddenly appeared in front of Papa Sheep almost scared it out of its wits. The other magical beasts were also startled. Although they knew that every inch of the underworld belonged to the underworld deity, he came too fast. It was as if he happened to be nearby. Ming-Ri didn't say a word, but the magical beasts had already determined that this person was the rumored underworld deity who controlled the underworld and could turn people into ashes in an instant. This was because they noticed that the man who suddenly appeared exuded a dangerous aura. This aura was the aura of the death deity. Queen Night Demon quietly sized up the underworld deity. Oh, the underworld deity had a nose and eyes. In terms of temperament and appearance, he was comparable to her master's sweetheart, Yi Baiming. They were both rare and extremely handsome men. Such a man actually liked cute things like Papa Sheep. Queen Night Demon had an impulse to burst out laughing. Papa Sheep, however, didn't know what the other magical beasts were thinking. It tried its best to widen its bean-sized eyes, trying to pretend that it wasn't afraid of Ming-Ri, but its small body couldn't stop trembling, and it still gave the game away. Long time no see, weak egg, you're finally willing to look for this deity. Ming-Ri's long and narrow eyes flashed with a dangerous light. He grabbed Papa Sheep, but the latter resisted desperately, for fear that Ming-Ri would go crazy and swallow it whole. Woo-woo, junior brother Ming-Ri, long time no see. You're still the same as before, handsome and powerful. And can you not call me weak egg? It's very embarrassing. Papa Sheep didn't expect that and was very depressed. As soon as Ming-Ri appeared, he exposed its scars and called it weak egg. When the puffed egg was still in the god realm, because of its weak strength, it couldn't even hatch the most basic beast form. For a while, it was called weak egg. Later, gradually, it didn't know why, but suddenly, no one called it weak egg anymore. Only Ming-Ri, this bad boy, called it weak egg every time they met. Papa Sheep was very angry and wanted to knock Ming-ri away, but it didn't dare. Could only secretly size up Ming-ri. In fact, Papa Sheep was speaking against its conscience. It hadn't seen Ming-ri for many years. Although the Ming-ri from back then was already over 1,700 years old, his outer appearance was only that of a youth. But the underworld deity in front of it, Ming-ri, was tall, and under the world deity robe, strong muscles could be faintly seen. If this guy wanted to eat Papa Sheep, its meat wouldn't be enough to fill the gaps between his teeth. His iceberg face was still iceberg face, but why was God so unfair? Why did it only change from an egg to a cute sheep? But Ming-ri became the indomitable underworld deity. Papa Sheep felt self-pity in its heart, lamenting its misfortune and pitiful encounter. Less nonsense, say, why did you look for this deity? Ming-ri's eyes looked coldly at Papa Sheep. Woo-woo, Ming-ri, you have to save Papa's master. She's about to be killed by that big pervert, the Netherworld Ghost King. Papa Sheep remembered that its master was still in danger and didn't care about paying with its body. It grabbed Ming-ri's sleeve and wiped its snot and tears, messing up Ming-ri's underworld deity robe. Ming-ri frowned, his face full of disgust, but he didn't throw Papa Sheep away. Master? You've actually fallen to become a contract beast of the human race. Daring to enslave you, this deity will kill her. Ming-ri's cold eyes focused. He noticed that Papa Sheep did indeed have the aura of a contract beast. It was also his negligence that allowed Weak Egg to become a contract beast of the human race. Other than him, no one was allowed to bully Weak Egg. No one from the realm of gods, and even more so a human. However, since Weak Egg had fallen into the hands of the Netherworld Ghost King, it was no different from a dead person. Once the summoner died, the contract was automatically cancelled. Nanny, looks like the Ice Mountain God and Little Fat Sheep Hot Pot, this couple is quite popular. By the way, characters who are popular enough will make a flashy appearance outside the movie. Chapter 1144. Hearing Ming-ri's words, Bobo, who was originally cowering, suddenly exploded. You are not allowed to curse Master. Master will not die. If she dies, Bobo will also die. Bobo is Master's life contract beast. If Master is alive, Bobo is alive. If Master dies, Bobo will also die with Master. Bobo Sheep was furious. He knew that he could not beg Ming-ri, this scoundrel. What? You actually signed a life contract with a human? Who allowed you to do that? Ming-ri was furious. A life contract was not an ordinary contract. Only the closest person could sign a life contract. If something happened to the master of the life contract, the contract beast would also be implicated. Even if he did not die, Bobo Sheep's divine soul would be damaged and he would no longer have the chance to become a world deity. Thinking of this, God power surged beside Ming-ri, like the surface of the sea before a storm. The powerful God power caused the ground to shake. In the Ghost King cave, a cold wind blew. The group of magical beasts felt that they could not stand still. This was God power? What a terrifying power. The magical beasts felt that they were like a lonely boat in the middle of a storm, about to be drowned by Ming-ri's anger at any time. But Bobo Sheep, who had always been timid, was not frightened this time. No one allowed Bobo to do that. Bobo only knew that after Bobo was separated from Mother Goddess, he almost died. No one in the deity world cared about Bobo. No one cared about Bobo's life or death. When he woke up, the first thing he saw was Master. Although Bobo was weak, Master never despised Bobo. She treated Bobo the best. Bobo could give his life to her. She was also willing to give up her life for Bobo. Bobo Sheep was excited and roared at Ming-ri. When it concerned the life and death of Master, Bobo Sheep's tone was very aggressive. It was as if he had eaten 5 kilograms of gunpowder. Just when the other magical beasts thought that Ming-ri would teach Bobo a lesson for its offense, he did not say a word and only stared at Bobo. Actually, at that time Ming-ri wanted to tell Bobo that at that time, he had gone to the human world to look for him. It was just that the mortal realm was too vast, and he did not know which continent Popo was on in the mortal realm. Furthermore, at that time, he was about to become the world deity of the underworld. In the end, he was forcefully brought back to the deity world. Ming-ri wanted to explain, but he was cold by nature and was not good at expressing himself. For a moment, he did not know where to start. However, there was one thing that was certain. After listening to Popo's words, Ming-ri knew that Popo had deep feelings for its master. Just based on this point alone, he had to save that human from the Phantasm Ghost King's hands. Ming-ri didn't want to tell Popo about this. Just as Ming-ri was about to attack, the teleportation magic array on the right suddenly emitted a buzzing sound, and the entire Ghost King cave started to shake. Ming-ri's face was filled with surprise. This intense fluctuation was actually the power of divinity. That power seemed to want to break through the teleportation array set up by the Phantasm Ghost King. According to what Popo said, there was only her inside the teleportation array right now. He did not say anything else. He withdrew his hand and hugged Popo. His body turned into a black gold light and rushed into the teleportation array. Ming-ri's speed was incomparably fast. Before the other magical beasts could even react, Ming-ri and Popo had already disappeared. Seeing this, Xiaohei wanted to rush into the magic array. However, as soon as she rushed in, she was bounced back by a strange force. Xiaohei flew out. Suddenly, a golden figure flashed by, and Dollar appeared in front of the magical beasts. However, there was also an old man with a long beard who came with Dollar. No one knew where he came from. TSK, what a powerful fluctuation of divinity. This teleportation array has already been sealed. Those who are not divinity cannot enter. Otherwise, the fluctuation of divinity inside will instantly kill them. Shinjizi had already sensed the aura of the underworld deity. Sure enough, the demon-suppressing array caused such a huge commotion and alarmed the underworld deity. However, if the Phantasm Ghost King had already followed his instructions and completed the last step, then the formation of the demon-suppressing array was an irreversible fact. Even if the underworld deity personally came, he would not be able to change it. Something was wrong. Yi Baiming could feel that there were at least 3 different kinds of energy fluctuations in the teleportation array. Why were there 3 different kinds of energy fluctuations? Could it be that the energy came from the little wild cat? Just what did she do? Just 15 minutes ago, Yun Shang had forced Popo and the other magical beasts to leave the demon-suppressing array. You can be considered the most courageous woman I have ever met in my life. What a pity. If I had met you a few years earlier, perhaps I would have fallen in love with you. The Phantasm Ghost King shook his head and sighed. Some people once met would be forever. Before the Phantasm Ghost King met Qingcheng, he did not believe in everlasting love. However, after meeting her, the Phantasm Ghost King realized that there was such a thing as love in this world. Qingcheng, is she the woman you like? Did you construct this demon-suppressing array for her? Yun Shang casually asked. I just don't understand. What does the demon-suppressing array have to do with her? Do you know that you devoured the souls of living creatures to construct the demon-suppressing array? Because of this, you will never be able to become a god. Yun Shang heard from Popo that the Phantasm Ghost King had already become a god. Right now, the only difference between him and a true god was the title of a god. However, if his entire body was filled with sins, then he would no longer have the qualifications to become a god. Haha, do you think I would care about a mere title of a god? There's no need to say anymore. I know you want to stall for time, but it's a pity that it's useless. In the underworld, only one person can break Ai's teleportation array, and that person will definitely not come out to save you. The Phantasm Ghost King chanted. Within the demon-suppressing array, the countless small arrays began to operate. The energy of all kinds of souls was quickly converted into magic energy for the demon-suppressing array. At the same time, Yun Shang was about to be submerged. Suddenly, 3 red, azure, and white pillars of light shot out from Yun Shang's body. The 3 pillars of light were like 3 sharp swords as they pierced through the Phantasm Ghost King's restraint on Yun Shang's body. The azure dragon coiled around like an ancient city wall, the white tiger with the king's seal on its forehead, and the fiery red vermilion bird with fiery feathers and a heavenly cry. The three divine beasts stood in front of and behind Yun Shang, protecting Yun Shang. As expected, everything you did just now was just a show for I. The phantasm ghost king's face didn't change in the slightest as he smiled. TSK. I made a mistake this time and almost failed miserably. However, do you think that you can defeat I with just 3 inferior divine beasts? Chapter 11:45. What an arrogant tone. The Netherworld Ghost King was probably the only person who would dare to call the 3 great divine beasts of the boundless continent, the Netherworld Ghost King, a divine beast of the 3 great divine beasts. Although Yun Shang already knew that the Netherworld Ghost King didn't play by the rules, she couldn't help but be moved when she saw his arrogance. However, Yun Shang soon realized that the Netherworld Ghost King had his reasons for being arrogant. There were only 2 kinds of arrogant people. One was someone who was weak but spoke arrogantly. The other was someone who was strong enough to be arrogant. The Netherworld Ghost King was the latter. Master, he's telling the truth. Although the 3 of us siblings are divine beasts, we're all lesser divine beasts. Moreover, we're only totem divine beasts. Even if we recover our peak fighting strength and gather the power of the Black Tortoise, we can barely prevent ourselves from being killed. Although that man doesn't have a divine beast, his strength should be around that of a superior god. The vermilion bird totem reminded Yun Shang. Even the 4 great divine beasts couldn't defeat the Netherworld Ghost King when they were at their peak. The divine beast totem is right. Even if I am not a divine beast, I can still kill most divine beasts. If you really want to talk about it, there are people who can defeat I. The Inferno Monarch is one of the sovereign lords of the 4 great divine beasts. Unfortunately, the Inferno Monarch has already ignored the affairs of the human realm for many years and won't save an ant-like human. The Netherworld Ghost King looked at Yun Shang in amusement. He had already seen that Yun Shang wouldn't give up so easily. This was because he could feel the same arrogance and confidence from Yun Shang. This woman was very similar to himself when he was young. They both had the same temperament of not giving up until all hope was gone. Obviously, it was impossible for her to just sit there and wait for death. However, the more it was so, the more the Netherworld Ghost King wanted to crush her confidence and arrogance. In this world, only those with true strength had the right to be arrogant. He, the Netherworld Ghost King, was the best example. Haha! Ghost King, I'm afraid you've misunderstood. I've never intended to use the Divine Beast Totem to contend with you. The reason why I used up the precious opportunity to summon the Divine Beast Totem was that I wanted to fight to the death. It is impossible for the Totem Divine Beasts to kill you, but if they burn their divine power, I believe it will be enough to destroy this demon-suppressing formation. Since I'm going to die, I should at least drag someone down with me. Don't you think so, Ghost Lord? Yun Shang's eyes curved into crescents. Her black eyes were like bright lamps in the dark night, shining brightly. The smile on the Phantasm Ghost King's face instantly froze. Damn it! This woman actually dared to threaten him. The Netherworld Ghost King was enraged. In the Netherworld, he was an existence above all. No one had ever dared to threaten him again and again. You can give it a try. Under the Phantasm Ghost King's rage, the entire magic array started to fluctuate, and a large amount of black divine power floated around Yun Shang. They were like countless walls that wanted to crush Yun Shang and the Divine Beast Totem into powder. A trace of ruthlessness flashed through Yun Shang's eyes. The 3 divine beasts let out a long roar and charged towards the Phantasm Ghost King's divine power. Wait! The Phantasm Ghost King also didn't expect that Yun Shang would actually dare to fight to the death. He cursed in his heart. Just where did this crazy woman come from? She really didn't want to live anymore. Just now, he even had a bit of compassion in his heart and wanted to spare her soul. What? Is the Ghost Lord regretting it? You and I are both smart people. You should know that the Divine Beast Totem will cause irreversible damage to the demon-suppressing formation. Either you let me go or wait for the demon-suppressing formation to collapse. Yun Shang sneered. Impossible. I've been building this devil-suppressing formation for 20 years, and I'm only one step away. Ching's soul is about to scatter. I don't have the time to find a replacement for your soul. The Netherworld Ghost King also refused to budge. He was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Scatter my soul? Could it be that the Ghost King's goal in constructing this demon-suppressing formation is to help people condense their divine souls? Yun Sheng suddenly thought of something. If the Phantasm Ghost King had a way to help people condense their divine souls, then wouldn't that mean that he could also help her mother, Hu Jiuxing, find her remaining soul and recover her memories? In her excitement, Yun Sheng even forgot that she was still in danger. I also want to know why you gave up on becoming a god and hid in this dark place for all these years. A cold male voice suddenly entered her ears. The underworld god, Ming Sun, who was holding baby sheep in his arms, appeared in the demon-suppressing formation. When he saw the demon-suppressing formation formed by several thousand small demon-suppressing formations, his eyebrows furrowed. Behind him, one could faintly see the divine power of the Dark Flood Dragon King. Seeing this person, Yun Sheng and the Phantasm Ghost King had different expressions. Yun Sheng was astonished to see that this person was holding a frightened baby sheep in his arms. This person was the underworld world deity, Baby Sheep's junior brother? With Baby Sheep's description, Yun Sheng's impression of this mysterious underworld god had always been that he was cruel, bloody, ugly, and bloodthirsty. She didn't expect that the man in front of her would have an imposing appearance. Other than the slightly paralyzed expression on his face, he could be considered an extremely handsome man. If it weren't for the terrifying divine power flashing around his body, it would be very difficult to associate him with the underworld god who controlled life and death in the underworld. Ming Ri, I've already said that it was my own decision to give up on becoming a god. There's no need for you to ask. When the Netherworld Ghost King saw the appearance of the Netherworld World God, he knew that today's matter would not be easily resolved. He didn't expect that demonic beast to be able to invite Ming Sun, this great Buddha. But even if the underworld god personally came, no one could stop him from accomplishing what he wanted. It's difficult for two gods to exist in one world. You have the power of a god, yet you gave up on becoming a god. You even set up a demon-suppressing formation in the ghost water stream. If it weren't for this god personally coming, you would have made a huge mistake. Do you know that your actions will break the order of the underworld and cause a surge of baleful aura that will bring disaster to the human world? Ming Sun had heard of the Phantasm Ghost King's many years of seclusion in the ghost water stream. It was just that the two of them had been fighting each other for many years. Although they were said to be mortal enemies, they had also developed a special kind of friendship through their many years of fighting. Ming Sun had turned a blind eye to this, but he didn't expect that the Phantasm Ghost King would be so daring as to set up such a heaven-defying formation in the ghost water stream. This time, he had appeared in the ghost water stream purely for baby sheep. But he didn't expect that under a freak combination of factors, he would stumble upon the Phantasm Ghost King's shocking scheme of setting up the demon-suppressing formation. Being reprimanded by Ming Sun, the Phantasm Ghost King was still somewhat unconvinced. But when he heard that it would bring disaster to the human world, he couldn't help but be moved. Even Baby Sheep, who originally had a dying expression, immediately pricked up his ears when he heard this. Chapter 1146. Gossip, the big gossip of the underworld. Popping Sheep's ears perked up as if he had heard some super big gossip. Ming Ri had always been good at governing the underworld. If he knew that Ming Ri had stirred up trouble while he was in charge of the underworld, it would be the same as having a little handle on him. At that time, he would be able to use this little handle to threaten Ming Ri to not have any ideas about his meat. When Popping Sheep thought of this, his mouth was about to reach his ears. He quickly pulled himself together and listened to Ming Ri and the Netherworld Ghost King's conversation with a face full of vigor. Yun Sheng was also flabbergasted. Although she knew that the demon-suppressing array was somewhat mysterious, Yun Sheng never thought that the demon-suppressing array would actually endanger the safety of the human world. Ming Ri, don't slander me. It's only a demon-suppressing array used to condense souls. How could it endanger the safety of the human world and the underworld? The Netherworld Ghost King was filled with disbelief. Shinjizi clearly told him that as long as he constructed the 8 desolate demon-suppressing array, he would be able to condense the 3 souls and 6 spirits and reconstruct Qingqing's soul so that she could live normally in the underworld. It was also because of this that he did not hesitate to hunt down a large number of demonic beasts and experts to collect their souls. Could it be that all of this was a conspiracy? That old man Shinjizi was blackmailing him? The demon-suppressing array is a great array that protects the underworld. There are hundreds of millions of wandering souls that provide the underworld with an endless amount of baleful aura. At the same time, it also forms a natural barrier between the human world and the underworld. However, just like how a world cannot have 2 world gods, a single underworld cannot contain 2 demon-suppressing arrays. Your small demon-suppressing array cannot be used to condense souls. It will destroy the operation of the demon-suppressing array in the demon-suppressing stone tablet and the barrier between the human world and the underworld. Ming-Ri also saw that the Netherworld Ghost King did not know about this. This was not surprising. The Netherworld Ghost King's temperament was unstable, and he was also the number 1 lawless person in the underworld. He simply did not know that the appearance of a second demon-suppressing array could bring harm to the underworld. Impossible. I have been in charge for 20 years, and I am about to replace Qingqing. Then what about Qingqing? Her soul is already on the verge of collapse and will scatter at any moment. If we don't find a way to help her condense her soul, she will turn into ashes. For the first time, the Netherworld Ghost King's face showed signs of panic. In the underworld, this man, who could make the heroes of the underworld change their expressions with a stomp of his foot, was now like a helpless child who did not know what to do. Even an ambitious character like the Phantasm Ghost King would be powerless when faced with such a matter. For the sake of that woman called Qingqing, he had killed so many innocent people and demonic beasts. He had almost committed a grave mistake. Could be seen that he had deep feelings for this woman. Li Qingqing has been dead for more than 20 years. She was the Empress of Zhou State, but she committed adultery with an outsider. She was the main culprit behind the calamity of the boundless continent. If it wasn't for you forcefully taking her away from the devil-suppressing stone tablet more than 20 years ago, she would have turned into ashes in the devil-suppressing stone tablet. Unless there was the purest divine flame in the world, it would be impossible for her to condense her soul. Her soul was destined to scatter. Ming-Ri's words were like sharp swords that pierced into the Netherworld Ghost King's heart. Although he knew that Ming-Ri was speaking the truth, when he thought about how his beloved was about to disappear forever, a trace of madness appeared on the Netherworld Ghost King's handsome face. Nonsense. Qingqing is only a weak woman. What adultery? What main culprit? None of this was what she wanted. Whether or not the devil-suppressing formation can help her condense her soul, I will give it a try. Since the heavens want her to die, I will make the human realm and underworld realm pay for her death. A cold, baleful aura lingered around the Netherworld Ghost King like the roots of an old tree. Not good, the Netherworld Ghost King has gone mad. Weakling, leave with that woman first. Ming-Ri knew that the Netherworld Ghost King had gone mad from anger. Although the Netherworld Ghost King hadn't reached the Divine Seal realm, he still had a divine body. Furthermore, they were inside the Netherworld Ghost King's devil-suppressing formation, while Yunshang and Baby didn't have a divine body. If they weren't careful, they would be injured by the Netherworld Ghost King's divine power. As Ming-Ri spoke, the underworld god power around him turned into a pale white candle flame underworld flood dragon. The candle flame underworld flood dragon grabbed Baby Goat and was about to snatch away Yunshang. But how could the Netherworld Ghost King let the divine soul in his hands be snatched away? He sinisterly smiled and his body split into 2. One charged at Ming-Ri, while the other attacked Yunshang's head to snatch away her soul. If you want to save Li Qingqing, then all of you stop. The woman's crisp voice changed the extremely dangerous situation all of a sudden. At this moment, the Netherworld Ghost King's clone was only a few steps away from Yunshang. He would be able to kill Yunshang in an instant. The Netherworld Ghost King, Ming-Ri, and the Candle Flame Underworld Flood Dragons all froze. What did you say? Do you have a way to save Qingqing? The Netherworld Ghost King's clone was filled with killing intent. His claws were like the claws of a ferocious beast, and they were only a few feet away from Yun Shang's throat. Before I answer your question, tell me if Li Qingcheng is the Zhou State's Empress Li, the wife of the Zhou State's Emperor, Yi Chengtian, and the mother of the regent of Great Zhou, Yi Baiming? Although the Netherworld Ghost King hadn't hit her yet, Yun Shang's qi and blood were in turmoil under the effects of the divine power. However, compared to her current mood, the turmoil in her body was nothing. The Netherworld Ghost King nodded silently. Empress Li Qingcheng. It was her, Night Fox's mother, the pitiful Empress Li of the Zhou State. She should have died 20 years ago, but she was still in the underworld. Her soul was still here, and the woman the Netherworld Ghost King wanted to save with the demon suppression formation was Empress Li. You better have a way to save Qingcheng. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer a death 10,000 times worse than having your soul scattered. The Netherworld Ghost King's expression was ugly. He stared at Yun Shang with both hope and doubt in his eyes. The Netherworld Ghost King and Ming Ri had known each other for many years, and he already knew that Ming Ri was telling the truth. However, how could someone as conceited as him accept that the plan he had painstakingly prepared for 20 years would be ruthlessly destroyed in the end? Just thinking about Li Qingcheng's death made the Netherworld Ghost King's heart ache. Now that Yun Shang suddenly said that she had a way, the Netherworld Ghost King's face was filled with hope, as if he had found a life-saving straw. If the divine fire can really condense the divine soul, then I have a way to condense the divine soul for Empress Li. With that, Yun Shang clenched her slender fingers, and a gust of fire element condensed in her hand. A flame that looked like a lotus appeared in the center of her palm. The color of the flame was as bright as blood. However, it was different from ordinary lotuses and ordinary flames. The lotus flame in Yun Shang's hand was like a blooming lotus under her control. It bloomed layer by layer, and it was extremely beautiful. In the center of the karmic flames, a weak energy could be felt. This energy was very familiar to the Netherworld Ghost King and Ming Ri. It was origin divine energy. Although it was very weak, it was indeed divine energy. After Yun Shang broke through to the magic god realm, other than the changes in her magic power, the karmic flames of the red lotus that she could originally control were also purified. After the purification, a new flame was created, called the karmic flames of the divine lotus. The problem with the updates, the problem with the monthly votes, the more I talk about it, the more I cry. No matter what, thank you for your support. Chapter 1147. Divine Fire. Wasn't this the pure fire that the world god of the underworld said could be used to condense divine souls? My dear master is the best. Divine fire. Now, the underworld and the human world can be saved. Popping Sheep nimbly escaped from the claws of the candle flame ghost flood dragon. He flew towards his master. His master's embrace was still warmer and softer. Ming Ri was a carnivorous man. His chest was hard, and he did not look human at all. When Ming Ri saw Baby Sheep's arrogant and shameless appearance in Yun Shang's arms, an indescribable complicated emotion appeared in his eyes. The Netherworld Ghost King sized up the divine lotus fire. Are you sure that such a weak divine fire can condense souls? If I am not wrong, this little bit of divine power has only been nurtured for a short time. This power is limited. Yun Shang had only just broken through to Precept God. Precept God was just a name in the boundless land. It was not a real god. Compared to the Netherworld Ghost King and Ming Ri who had lived for thousands of years, it was not worth mentioning. However, no matter how strong Ming Ri and the Netherworld Ghost King were, they still had divine fires. In this world, there were not many gods who possessed godly fire. Emperor Yanhua of the God Realm was one of them. However, Emperor Yanhua would never condescend to condense a godly soul for a Yin soul who had committed a serious crime. Therefore, the only one who could help Li Qingcheng now was Yun Shang. Tisk, take it or leave it, Yun Shang sneered in her heart. If not for the fact that Li Qingcheng was Night Fox's mother, and that she was her daughter-in-law that she had never met before, Yun Shang would not have bothered to use the divine lotus fire that she had condensed. Divine fires were not so easy to condense, and they consumed a lot of energy. If not for the fact that she had the rare fairy fire and that she had fused with Ji Rumo's light source power, she would not have been able to condense this little bit of divine power. Don't worry, although I don't have a strong godly power, I still have the vermilion bird totem. It's also a fire godly beast, so it can help me increase the power of the godly fire. Also, you should have the heart distress lamp. From what I know, the heart's sorrow lantern can trap souls and also play a supporting role. As long as we combine the intelligence of myself, the vermilion bird totem, and the heart's sorrow lantern, there's a high chance that Empress Li's soul can be reformed, Yun Shang said with certainty. She used the tone of a medical authority to speak to the patient's family. Her words were very authoritative. The Netherworld Ghost King had unknowingly been influenced by her and believed her words. Since that's the case, why aren't you saving her? The Netherworld Ghost King's eyes were filled with hope. He had already placed all his hopes on Yun Shang. The Ghost King has traveled the human realm before, so you should know the rules of the human realm. Although I'm a doctor, I've never believed in the bullsh** of a doctor having a parent's heart. I, Yun Shang, have always saved people with real money. Yun Shang chuckled. She was secretly glad that Night Fox wasn't here. Otherwise, if he knew that she was bargaining with his mother, she really didn't know how he would take care of her. However, Yun Shang could also see that the Netherworld Ghost King was infatuated with Empress Li. Empress Li had experienced two scumbags, He Yao and Yi Chengtian, in her early years. But to be able to meet someone like the Netherworld Ghost King after her death, it could be considered her fortune. Whatever condition you want, just say it. As long as I can do it, I can agree to one of your conditions. The Netherworld Ghost King was also straightforward. When Underworld God Ming Ri heard this, he couldn't help but be moved. Although the Netherworld Ghost King was temperamental, he was famous for keeping his promises. If he agreed to give Yun Shang a condition, even if it was extremely difficult, he would definitely do it. Now that he had a divine body, there weren't many people in the underworld who could be his opponent. Back in the day, those who possessed the Netherworld Ghost Key could obtain a condition from the Netherworld Ghost King. However, the person who used the Netherworld Ghost Key had to pay a corresponding price. However, the Netherworld Ghost King gave Yun Shang a condition without any additional conditions. In other words, as long as Yun Shang was willing, she could even let the Netherworld Ghost King take over the Underworld World God position. If this woman really dared to ask for too much, he would kill her on the spot. Ming Ri thought to himself. However, just as his gaze turned cold, he realized that Baby Sheep was looking at him with a pitiful expression. This fellow was slow to react to everything, but when it came to its master, it seemed to be exceptionally sharp. It had already sensed Ming Ri's murderous intent, and it looked as if Ming Ri dared to touch Yun Shang, it would cry and howl. Seeing Baby Sheep's expression, Ming Ri's heart couldn't help but soften. The killing intent around him immediately disappeared without a trace. You're the one who said that. Yun Shang blinked her eyes. The two dimples at the corner of her mouth were like two dancing butterflies. If Yi Baiming saw that smile, he would definitely know that Yun Shang was up to no good again. However, the Netherworld Ghost King wasn't Yi Baiming. His understanding of Yun Shang was limited to the battle at Taiyuan Mountain. How would he know that the woman in front of him, who looked to be around 20 years old, actually had a black heart that was even more cunning than a 1,000-year-old fox? Agreed. The Netherworld Ghost King agreed to one of its master's conditions. Baby Sheep and Yun Shang's group of magical beasts were all excited. As expected of their master, she could actually bargain with the Netherworld Ghost King, one of the tyrants of the underworld. Too awesome. However, what kind of conditions would their master propose? Cough cough. Then listen carefully. My first condition is that you have to unconditionally agree to 3 of my conditions. Yun Shang stretched out 3 fingers. The Netherworld Ghost King's handsome face, which made others jealous, couldn't help but twitch. What kind of condition was this? She was simply acting shamelessly. The magical beasts and Baby Sheep at the side were also dumbfounded. Strong, too strong. Little Master was indeed shameless. At this moment, the Netherworld Ghost King was already starting to regret. He wanted nothing more than to kick Yun Shang out of the underworld. However, when he considered that aside from Yun Shang, there was no one else who could save Li Qingcheng, the Netherworld Ghost King could only suffer in silence. He forcefully suppressed his anger and glared at Yun Shang. Yun Shang, I'll let it go this time and won't bicker with you. However, don't go overboard and ask for more conditions. Otherwise, even if you're the only one who can save Qingcheng, I won't let you off. The Netherworld Ghost King snorted as he gnashed his teeth. This was already the second time he had been schemed against by Yun Shang. To the Netherworld Ghost King, this was an enormous humiliation. Don't worry, Ghost King. There are some tricks that only need to be used once to make a profit. Yun Sheng grinned. She had also guessed that these three conditions were the Netherworld Ghost King's bottom line. Chapter 1148. Although Yun Shang had only interacted with the Phantasm Ghost King a few times, she had heard from Yingyu and the others that the Phantasm Ghost King was famous for being a man of his word. With the Phantasm Ghost King's position in the underworld, once he agreed to the three conditions, he would not go back on his word. Moreover, Yun Shang already had plans in her heart. After she rescued Li Qingcheng, she would immediately pull Night Fox to kowtow to her mother-in-law and have a mother and son reunion. At that time, she would see what the Phantasm Ghost King, this future father-in-law, could do to her. How could the Phantasm Ghost King know that before he could even rescue Li Qingcheng? This crafty girl, in front of him, had already started scheming against him. The Phantasm Ghost King thought to himself. 3 conditions were not a lot. He clenched his teeth, closed his eyes, and agreed. Looking at this girl, although she was a bit arrogant, her style of doing things was quite similar to his. Humph, if she could really save Li Qingcheng, he planned to pull her over to inherit his legacy. Little girl, I'll let you off this time, but don't go too far and ask for more conditions. Otherwise, even if you're Qingcheng's daughter-in-law, I won't let you off. The Phantasm Ghost King snorted. Don't worry, Ghost King. Some tricks only need to be used once. Yun Sheng grinned. She had also guessed that 3 conditions were the Phantasm Ghost King's bottom line. As for which 3 conditions, Yun Shang hadn't thought of them yet. She planned to first rescue Empress Li's soul before telling the Phantasm Ghost King her conditions. A crisis, in the end, actually turned into nothingness under Yun Shang's quick wit. Only then did the Phantasm Ghost King tell Yun Shang that Empress Li's remnant soul was in the teleportation array on the left. He had actually opened a palace in this small Ghost King cave. When Yun Shang heard this, she couldn't help but click her tongue. The Netherworld Ghost King was really generous. This world god will deal with you about the demon-suppressing formation later. After today, the ghost water stream will not remain. When he thought about how the Netherworld Ghost King actually knew so many tricks right under his nose, the underworld god's face darkened like a storm cloud. He looked at Baby Sheep again. Baby Sheep had been lying in Yun Shang's arms ever since it saw Yun Shang and refused to come out. Baby Sheep's face was so dark that it looked like it was about to explode at any moment. With a cold expression, he reached out with his long arm and grabbed one of the sheep's wings, wanting to bring it back. Stinking underworld son. What are you doing? Popping Sheep howled in pain. Come with me. It was not easy for him to find Bobo. This time, he would not let him leave him again. Baby Sheep was a world deity in the mortal world, and its strength was extremely weak. It was actually very dangerous for it to wander around alone. Baby Sheep, no, dear master. This meat-eating man wants to catch Baby Sheep and stew him. Master, save me. Master, get the big pervert to beat him up. Baby Sheep was also a typical opportunist. When it begged Underworld Sun to save Yun Shang, it was extremely pitiful. But now that it saw that its master was safe and sound, and also had the protection of the Netherworld Ghost King's 3 conditions, it immediately became bold. It desperately tried to burrow into Yun Shang's arms, its wings flapping as it struggled. When the Netherworld Ghost King and Yun Shang heard this, they were speechless. Underworld Sun's face was dark, but he didn't dare to use too much strength in fear of hurting Baby Sheep. Don't forget that you used the Netherworld Jade. According to the agreement, you must. Underworld Sun stared at Baby Sheep. In Baby Sheep's eyes, that gaze was like a sharp knife that wanted to cut it into 10,000 pieces. Baby Sheep, how did you save your dear master? Our master is wise, powerful, and resourceful. He was the one who saved himself. Shameless, you're adding glory to your own face. Baby Sheep doesn't owe you anything. Baby Sheep wants to follow its dear master. Baby Sheep didn't care. Underworld Sun didn't do anything and only roared a few times. The credit wasn't his. Yunshang also knew her magical beast's temper. She coughed a few times. Lord Underworld God, why don't I say something fair? Baby Sheep's physique isn't suitable for living in the Netherworld. Although my strength isn't comparable to the Underworld God and the Netherworld Ghost King, I'm willing to swear on my soul that as long as Baby Sheep is by my side, I, Yunshang, will protect it with everything I have. When Yunshang spoke, she was resolute and decisive. Her black eyes were solemn. As she spoke, a dazzling soul appeared above Yunshang's head. For a magician, swearing to a soul was the most stringent oath. If they didn't abide by it, their soul would be shattered and they would die. There was a slight change on Underworld Sun's iceberg face. He stared at Baby Sheep, who was nestled in Yunshang's arms. His eyes were moist, and his small body couldn't stop twitching. Only his eyes were close to becoming peach hearts. Underworld Sun had known Baby Sheep for so many years. Except for the first time when the two met for the first time, which had long been forgotten by Baby Sheep, Underworld Sun had never seen Baby Sheep with such a happy expression. He really liked his master. Well, Baby Sheep was the world deity of the human realm. In the near future, the human realm would trigger an unprecedented major catastrophe. He had to face it. Staying in the Netherworld, he would be very safe, but he couldn't exert his true potential. Weakling, you chose the path yourself. You can follow her. But if there comes a day when you want to come back, I will always wait for you in the Netherworld Palace. After saying that, Underworld Sun's figure disappeared. Underworld Sun's words, to put it bluntly, was a naked confession. Yunshang and the Netherworld Ghost King were both experienced people, so they understood what he meant. Only Baby Sheep was stunned when he heard that. He curled his lips. Baby Sheep won't look for you. Looking for you is suicide, Baby Sheep said as he nimbly jumped onto Yunshang's shoulder. Yunshang couldn't help but smile. The Netherworld Ghost King was very anxious. He urged Yunshang to quickly follow him to find Empress Li, outside the teleportation array. Shinjizi and Dollar were still quietly observing the changes. Shinjizi originally thought that after the fluctuation just now, the demon suppression array would be completed. At that time, there would be 2 demon suppression arrays in the Netherworld. When the 2 arrays clashed, there would definitely be a conflict. When the demon suppression array's power spread out, countless vengeful spirits and ghosts would rush into the human realm. As one of the continents closest to the Netherworld, the Wuji continent would definitely bear the brunt and suffer an unprecedented major crisis. At that time, the 8 Desolates continent would take advantage of the situation and the Wuji continent would fall. However, before Shinjizi could finish his beautiful dream, a magical fluctuation came from the teleportation array in front of him. Then, 2 people walked out of the teleportation array. One of them was Yunshang, and the other was the Netherworld Ghost King. Looking at the 2 of them, they didn't look like they had fought to the death. Chapter 1149. Yunshang was also surprised. She was worried about where Dollar had gone after blocking the Arrowtail Rhino. She didn't expect him to be right outside the teleportation array. Just as she was about to speak, she suddenly realized that Dollar was with Shinjizi, and he was winking at her. What's going on? Yunshang was suspicious, but with her tacit understanding with Night Fox, she immediately understood that Night Fox must have made some arrangements. She didn't say anything, even though Yunshang gritted her teeth in hatred when she saw Shinjizi. This old man had almost killed her. However, Shinjizi had only cheated her of 100 king-level soul stones. In comparison, the Phantasm Ghost King had been cheated for more than 20 years. This grudge was much deeper than hers. Yunshang wouldn't use her strength to solve a problem that could be solved with someone else's fists. As expected, when the phantasm ghost king saw Shinjizi, a murderous look appeared on his handsome face. "Shinjizi, you old thief. You've tricked I so much." The phantasm ghost king was furious. He clawed at Shinjizi like a black bolt of lightning, his sharp claws grabbing onto Shinjizi's vitals. When Shinjizi saw that the situation wasn't right, he was already on guard. Seeing that the phantasm ghost king's killing move was about to reach him, Shinjizi suddenly raised the heart distress lantern. He held the lantern with one hand and guarded with the other. "Phantasm ghost king, Li Qingqing's remnant soul is in this lantern. If you dare to take a step forward, I'll break the heart distress lantern. At that time, even the gods won't be able to save her soul." Shinjizi was a sly old fox. He had already taken Li Qingqing's remnant soul into the heart distress lantern. All these years, the reason why Empress Li's remnant soul had been able to stay and didn't dissipate was because of the heart distress lantern. Although the heart distress lantern had a mysterious divine power, it looked like a weak lantern on the outside. As long as Shinjizi used a bit of strength, the heart distress lantern would shatter. That was why Shinjizi had been holding on to this life-saving talisman. He had used the Netherworld Ghost King's desire to save Li Qingqing to trick the Ghost King into thinking that the demon suppression array could condense souls. The Netherworld Ghost King was in a hurry to save his people, so he didn't investigate whether this matter was feasible or not. Over the past 20 years, he had plundered the souls of nearly 10,000 powerhouses and demonic beasts to form a small demon suppression array. Shinjizi had predicted that the demon suppressing array would be completed today. He had also lured Yunshang and a group of experts into the array. He thought that everything had been arranged perfectly, and the demon suppressing array would be completed when the conditions were right. But who would have thought that Yunshang would suddenly appear out of nowhere and ruin the scheme that he and the Beast God Altar had painstakingly worked on for so many years? Thinking of this, Shinjizi, the second priest of the Beast God Altar, gritted his teeth. "Shinjizi, who are you? Why do you have to harm I so many times?" The Netherworld Ghost King harshly shouted. His heart was filled with resentment. He had truly misplaced his trust in this old bastard. He shouldn't have given him the Heart Sorrow Lantern. The Ghost King's words are wrong. This old man has no enmity with the Ghost King. What this old man wants to do is to destroy the human realm. To be precise, I want to destroy the human realm's boundless continent. This old man is the second priest of the 8 Desolates Continent's Beast God Altar, Shinjizi. Under the orders of the first priest, I am here to destroy the human realm's barrier and cause a commotion. Seeing that the mission is about to be completed, how can this old man allow it to fail? Ghost King, if you want to save your beloved, then immediately kill that female magician beside you and activate the demon suppression array. Shinjizi laughed cruelly as his withered hand pressed heavily on the Heart Sorrow Lantern. The Netherworld Ghost King's face sank, but he didn't make a move. What? Could it be that the Ghost King doesn't want to save Li Qingqing? Shinjizi used a bit of strength, and the energy entered the Heart Sorrow Lantern. Immediately, a painful cry came from the Heart Sorrow Lantern. That voice was as mellow as an oriole's. It was Empress Li's voice. Hearing this, the Ghost King's heart twisted in pain. He snorted and sent a palm strike towards Yunshang. Yunshang was already prepared, but she had already activated the Celestial Fox's first inheritance. His long, pitch-black hair grew like wild grass, forming a black wall that blocked the Ghost King's palm wind. At the same time, the demonic beasts, including Night Demon Queen, all came forward to help. Although the Netherworld Ghost King was strong, he was outnumbered. For a moment, he was entangled in a fight with Yunshang and the others. Shinjizi watched from the side. At first, he was pleased with himself, but the more he watched, the stranger his expression became. If he wasn't wrong, this woman was using the Celestial Fox's inheritance. Could it be that she was also a descendant of the Celestial Fox people? Moreover, looking at her strength, she was much stronger than the Celestial Fox people's saintess. Not only that, she was also a summoner with a powerful demonic beast lineup. Since when did so many powerful descendants of the 8 Desolates appear in the human race? No, this matter must be reported to the first priest. As for this woman, should he kill her or not? If he left her alive, perhaps he could use her to suppress the celestial fox people. Just as Shinjizi was thinking about this, he suddenly felt his eyelids twitch. Yun Shang and the Ghost King, who had been fighting fiercely, suddenly pounced on him. Damn you, Ghost King. You've forced me to do this. Shinjizi was startled. He raised the heart distress lamp in his hand. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his back as a golden light pierced Shinjizi's chest. The sound of bones breaking and organs exploding rang out. Shinjizi couldn't believe it. Bending over, he saw a terrifying beast claw in his chest. The beast claw suddenly exerted force, and the body of the second priest, Shinjizi, was torn apart like a piece of paper. The heart distress lamp also fell into Dollar's claw. Shinjizi breathed his last. Even in death, he still didn't understand why Dollar would suddenly attack him. Hand over the heart distress lamp. The Ghost King saw that the heart distress lamp had been taken away by a golden demonic beast. He was afraid that something would happen to Li Qingqing. Ghost King, don't be impatient. Dollar won't harm Empress Li. He is her son. Yun Shang's words caused the Ghost King to pause. Qingqing's son? A golden demonic beast? What kind of show was this? Fortunately, the Ghost King knew a bit about Empress Li's background. He knew that she had a son before she died. Only then did he coldly snort and withdraw his killing move. Hand over the heart distress lamp. Thinking that Dollar was the son of Li Qingqing and that scumbag from before, the Ghost King was annoyed. Dollar did not move. He just stared at the Phantasm Ghost King. The Phantasm Ghost King was known as the King of the Underworld. He was the one who had imprisoned his mother for so many years. He was also the one who had built the Ghost King Palace. One man and one beast didn't like each other. The golden eyes met the purple eyes. For a moment, the smell of gunpowder filled the air. When Yun Shang saw this, she walked forward and took the heart distress lamp from Yi Baiming's hands. She stroked its back a few times to comfort it. Chapter 1150. I don't care who you are. Stay away from my mother, Dollar suddenly said. Night Fox, you can speak? Yun Shang was overjoyed. This deep and pleasant male voice was Night Fox. Although Night Fox had always liked to take advantage of her verbally, once he could speak, did that mean that he would be able to regain his human form soon? Although Yun Shang was used to Dollar's Qilin form, she still preferred the arrogant and evil Yi Baiming. Shinjizi is from the Beast God altar. He gave me a spirit speech crystal. According to him, if I go to the Beast God altar and accept the Beast God's baptism, I might be able to regain my human form. Dollar looked at Shinjizi's corpse with pity. Although this old man was despicable, he had at least told him some useful information. If Shinjizi hadn't threatened Empress Li's safety, Yi Baiming wouldn't have killed him. He even wanted to use Shinjizi to enter the Beast God altar. After all, from Shinjizi's tone, the Beast God altar and the Black Qilin tribe didn't seem to be on good terms. Let the Phantasm Ghost King take care of the Ghost King cave. Let's check on Empress Li's situation first. Yun Shang felt it was a pity, but since she knew that the Beast God altar could help Yi Baiming, they had to go to the 8 Desolates continent in the future. After all, she still needed to send Hu Shang's ashes back to the Celestial Fox tribe. Yun Shang told Yi Baiming what she had said to the Phantasm Ghost King. Yun Shang took the heart lamp. Shinjizi might have hurt Empress Li's remnant soul just now. The heart lamp looked no different from a palace lantern. The glass tassels on the outside were very exquisite. Yun Shang's black eyes flashed. She activated the 4th level of Shenong Eye. The outer wall of the small palace lantern gradually disappeared. Yun Shang could clearly see the internal structure of the lantern. The Heart Dilemma lantern was a hexagonal lantern. It was different from ordinary lanterns in that it didn't rely on fire or candlelight to light up. Instead, it used souls to emit light. The light emitted by the Heart Distress lantern had a hypnotic effect on living people and could be used to control their spiritual sense. However, for a soul that was already dead, it had the effect of condensing the soul and strengthening the soul. When the Phantasm Ghost King saved Li Qingqing back then, she was already a remnant soul. If the Phantasm Ghost King didn't happen to have the Heart Distress Lantern, Empress Li's soul would have dissipated after more than 20 years. Yun Shang used her Shinong Eye and discovered that there was a woman's soul in the new Lantern of Disaster. Her soul appeared to be very illusory. However, even though it was only a wisp of her soul, Yun Shang was still able to see the woman's beauty. Empress Li of Zhou State was once the most beautiful woman in Zhou State. Compared to the most beautiful woman in Zhou State, Chan Lian who Yun Shang had seen before, Empress Li's beauty was out of this world. Her eyes were dull. She didn't know what was happening outside. After a round of inspection, Yun Shang understood. Empress Li's situation isn't good. I'll immediately use the Heart Distress Lantern to condense her soul, Yun Shang said and summoned the Vermilion Bird Totem. After asking for the specific method of using the Heart Distress Lantern, Yun Shang and the Vermilion Bird Totem took the Heart Distress Lantern and flew into the sky. The sky of the underworld was completely dark. After flying 10,000 meters up in the sky, the ghost water stream had disappeared. Yun Shang looked down from the rolling sea of clouds. Most of the underworld scenery had disappeared. Only a huge magic array was operating not far away in the west. Within the magic array, a towering demon-subduing stone tablet pierced into the clouds. Yun Shang knew that it was the demon-subduing stone tablet. She heard from the Netherworld Ghost King that he had found a remnant of Empress Li's soul in the Shiwei Gate area. Humans had 3 spiritual souls and 6 physical souls. After a normal person died, they should have a complete soul. As long as they had a complete soul, even a ghost could live in the underworld. However, the Empress Li that the Netherworld Ghost King found back then only had 1 spiritual soul and 1 physical soul. All these years, no matter what method he used, he couldn't find the other parts of Empress Li's soul. Yun Shang summoned the Heart Distress Lantern and chanted. She then injected a portion of her Divine Lotus Hellfire into the new Heart Distress Lantern. As they were both divine items, the Divine Lotus Hellfire and the Heart Bewilderment Lamp's light merged together. The originally dim Heart Bewilderment Lamp, accompanied by Yunqing's chanting, looked like a bright moon had risen in the underworld's sky. The gentle light of the lantern was like a lighthouse in the dark night. It shone through the layers of clouds and scattered across the vast sky of the underworld. The light also landed on the demon-subduing stone tablet. Slowly, a few souls flew out of the demon-subduing stone tablet. At the same time, several souls flew over from various directions in the underworld. Yun Shang knew that these were the 2 spiritual souls and 6 physical souls that Empress Li had lost. Without exception, all the souls were sucked into the Heart Distress Lantern. Only when the last soul was complete did Yun Shang stop chanting. When she looked again, there were a few more souls in the Heart Distress Lantern. However, these souls didn't merge completely. Instead, they seemed to be repelling each other and couldn't merge together. This was because Empress Li's soul had been separated for too long. Only by combining the Divine Lotus Hellfire, the Vermilion Bird's fire, and the Heart Distress Lantern's fire could she reform her godly soul. Yun Shang brought Empress Li, who had recovered her 3 spiritual souls and 6 physical souls, back to the Ghost Water Ravine. The Phantasm Ghost King specially opened a secret room for her. He and Dollar stood guard outside. In the past, I've only made pills and some armor and magic scepters. I don't have any experience in reforming my godly soul. So, this time, I don't know if I can successfully reform my godly soul or how long it will take. Yun Shang told Dollar and the Phantasm Ghost King before she started to reform her godly soul. In order to focus on reforming her godly soul, Yun Shang didn't even bring the kissing sheep. She only brought the Vermilion Bird Totem and entered the secret room alone to begin her first attempt at reforming her godly soul. Yun Shang first drew a magic array on the ground. With a flick of her hand, a red Divine Lotus Hellfire fell into the magic array. The magic array was like pouring hot oil on it. With a boom, it burned fiercely. Yun Shang quickly took out the Heart Distress Lantern and chanted an incantation. Empress Li's 3 spiritual souls and 6 physical souls flew out of the Heart Distress Lantern. There were a total of 9 souls. After leaving the heart-distressed lantern, the souls that had been split up for many years all fled in different directions. However, as soon as those souls escaped, the magic array would spit out flames. The flames were like shadows chasing after the wandering souls. The wandering souls seemed to know the power of the divine fire and were forced back into the magic array, trembling in fear. Yun Shang's eyes were bright. She kept urging the divine lotus hellfire on the magic array. The flames burned the wandering souls bit by bit. Chapter 1151. The divine lotus fire was a rare godly fire. It was a combination of the fire of fairies and the fire of Taotai. When the two were combined, even the hardest purple gold ore could be melted in an instant. However, refining a godly soul was much more difficult than refining ores. It required a magician's ability to control fire to reach a godly level. As the fire of karma burned her soul, Empress Li's soul let out a mournful cry for mercy. However, Yun Shang was not affected at all. An endless stream of magic power flowed out of Yun Shang's body. After adapting to the temperature of the fire of karma, the cry for mercy slowly disappeared. Streams of black, earthworm-like evil energy flowed out of Empress Li's soul. This was the evil energy that Empress Li's wandering soul had absorbed when she was wandering in the underworld. She needed to purify this evil energy before she could reform it. This purification process lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. During these 3 days and 3 nights, Yun Shang did not eat or drink in the secret chamber as she purified her soul. Outside the secret chamber, the phantasm ghost king and dollar also did not sleep or rest for 3 days. In the beginning, the man and the beast did not speak. Although the two did not enter the secret chamber, their hearts followed them in. The 2 women in the secret chamber were very important to each of them. They did not want anything to happen to either of them. It was not until the afternoon of the 3rd day that Yi Baiming suddenly spoke. Why is mother in the underworld? This was a question that Yi Baiming had wanted to ask since the first time he met Empress Li. For so many years, he had always thought that Empress Li was dead. He did not expect that she had been in the underworld all this time. Although she was just a remnant soul, anyone who returned to the underworld must have committed heinous crimes. Yi Baiming could not understand. Empress Li was just a weak woman. How did she come to the underworld and meet the phantasm ghost king? I met Qingqing at the Western Way Gate. As for why she is in the underworld, I can only ask Qingqing herself and the underworld god. As for why her soul is incomplete, I've already investigated this matter. After she was thrown into the devil-suppressing stone tablet, she refused to submit and attempted to attack the devil-suppressing stone tablet multiple times. That's why her soul is incomplete, said the Netherworld Ghost King in an indifferent tone. Every wandering soul or felon who went to the underworld would have their lives recorded in the underworld deity's place. The god of the underworld would determine whether or not to enslave the criminal according to his life and suppress his soul in the demon-subduing stone tablet. Unfortunately, the god of the underworld had already left. It was unknown whether Empress Li could gather her soul again. Yi Baiming could only suppress his doubts for now. The Netherworld Ghost King had coincidentally passed by the Western Way Gate and coincidentally encountered Empress Li attacking the devil-suppressing stone tablet multiple times. Although she was already dead and her soul was captured in the underworld, she refused to abide by the laws of the underworld and tried to break through the barrier by force. Empress Li was just an ordinary weak woman, but she wanted to break through the powerful devil-suppressing stone tablet. She tried again and again, which caused her soul to suffer heavy damage. It was also because of Li Qingqing's desperate appearance that she attracted the Netherworld Ghost King's attention. The Netherworld Ghost King stayed at the Western Way Gate for several days. When he saw that Li Qingqing's soul was only left with 1 spiritual soul and 1 physical soul, he could not stand it anymore and took action to kidnap Li Qingqing. When the Netherworld Ghost King saved Empress Li, it was only out of curiosity. He did not know that in the following year, he would fall in love with a wisp of a Yin soul who only had 1 spiritual soul and 1 physical soul left. He did not even know her background. However, the feelings between people were so subtle. After Empress Li was brought back to the ghost water stream, She spent day and night with the Netherworld Ghost King. She did not know how to speak and only repeated the things she had done in her life, such as playing the zither and daydreaming. The Netherworld Ghost King even went to the human world to investigate Empress Li's identity. He only knew that she was the deposed Empress of the Zhou state and had a tragic life. After that, the Netherworld Ghost King realized that he had fallen in love with Li Qingqing. He even built a Ghost King palace for Empress Li, which was very similar to the palace she had lived in before. This matter caused a serious conflict between the Netherworld Ghost King and the Underworld God. Although the Netherworld Ghost King had run amok in the Underworld for so many years, he had not directly offended the interests of the Underworld God. This time, he forcefully kidnapped someone from the devil-suppressing stone tablet. This was something that the Underworld God could not tolerate. With this precedent, everyone could go to the devil-suppressing stone tablet to kidnap someone. The Underworld God single-handedly found the Netherworld Ghost King and demanded that he hand over Li Qingqing. The Netherworld Ghost King did not care about this and continued to live in seclusion in the Ghost Water Stream. He even plundered a large amount of manpower and resources to build the Ghost King Palace. After the Ghost King Palace was built, Empress Li, who did not have much intelligence, finally smiled. However, the good days did not last for long. The Netherworld Ghost King suddenly realized that Empress Li's soul was becoming more and more unstable. He knew that it was because she was lacking a soul. He had set up an inescapable net in the Ghost Water Stream, and even placed the demigod-rank Arrowtail Battle Rhinoceros outside the Ghost King Cave. He had even spread the news that the Netherworld Ghost King had fallen. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted Empress Li to feel better when she saw Yi Baiming, he would not have bothered to keep this brat around. The Netherworld Ghost King could not explain why he hated Yi Baiming so much. It was also possible that Yi Baiming had a killing intent that was very similar to his. This killing intent made the Netherworld Ghost King subconsciously feel that a mountain could not contain two tigers. Inside the secret chamber, Yun Shang's soul had just reached the critical point. After 3 days and 3 nights of purification by the karmic fire, Empress Li's 3 souls and 6 spirits had gradually turned from an illusory Yin soul to a golden soul. Her Yin soul no longer wandered around. She only needed to use the heart distress lamp to reform her soul. 3 days and 3 nights. Even though Yun Shang had already broken through to the Archmage God realm, the huge consumption of mana made her dizzy. However, Yun Shang did not rest. She knew that this was the best time to condense her godly soul. Forcing herself to stay alert, Yun Shang summoned her vermilion bird totem. The divine lotus karmic fire within the magic formation was already somewhat dim. The vermilion bird totem let out a long cry when it appeared. It circled above the magic formation and spat out 9 golden-red flames from its mouth. The flames entered the magic formation. The karmic fire and vermilion bird flames swallowed and quickly merged together. The heart distress lamp that Yun Shang had placed in the center of the magic formation was undergoing changes as the flames swallowed and spat. A golden-red fire lotus rose from the bottom of the heart distress lamp and lifted it up. As the fire lotus gradually bloomed, the heart distress lamp, which looked like a palace lantern, started to spin. The long and thin tassels turned into a red shadow as they spun. It was like a beautiful dancer dancing gracefully. The heart distress lamp spun faster and faster. Empress Li's 3 souls and 6 spirits felt an irresistible suction force. With a few whooshing sounds, the heart distress lamp had already sucked Empress Li's soul into the lamp. Chapter 1152. After an unknown amount of time, just as Yun Shang thought that she could not hold on any longer, the heart distress lamp suddenly emitted a colorful light. A soul glowing with golden light flew out and landed in front of Yun Shang. It was a woman dressed in palace attire. She had almond-shaped eyes, rosy cheeks, and skin as white as snow. From head to toe, even her hair was perfect. It was the saddest thing in the world for a beauty to be past her prime. Empress Li had died in the prime of her life, so her soul had remained at that time and had not aged or become ugly because of time. In a sense, the heavens still cared for Empress Li, this pitiful woman. The divine lotus hellfire was indeed a divine fire. Not only did it allow Empress Li to reform her soul, but it also resolved the knot in her heart that had been buried deep in her heart all these years. Now, she only felt that her entire body and mind were very relaxed, as if she had been reborn. Her entire person glowed with a different spirit. She looked like a young woman in her 20s. If Empress Li and the Netherworld Ghost King stood together, they would look like a perfect couple. It was very pleasing to the eye. Empress Li's eyes had already regained their clarity. She looked at the young woman in front of her, who had an outstanding temperament and appearance. She felt an inexplicable sense of intimacy. Although she had been muddle-headed for many years, she knew that the woman in front of her was her savior. "Thank you for saving my life. Mississippi, may I know your name and why you have appeared in the underworld?" Empress Li had not been the Empress for many years, but her speech was still graceful and appropriate. When Empress Li was brought to the underworld by the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon, her consciousness was still clear. She knew very well that she would definitely be imprisoned in the underworld for her sins. When she was suppressed under the demon-subduing stone tablet, she had many conflicts to make up for the mistakes she had made in the past. This humble one is Yun Shang. Like Empress Li, I am from Zhou State. I have another identity. I am your daughter-in-law, Yi Baiming's wife. Yun Shang was quite fond of her mother-in-law. Yi Baiming looked a lot like Empress Li. She couldn't help but have the mentality of loving the house and its crow. Upon hearing that Yun Shang was her daughter-in-law, Empress Li's expression became a little strange. Yun Shang also noticed it. Logically speaking, a mother who had been separated from her son for more than 20 years should be so excited when she heard the news of her son. Empress Li, on the other hand, had a responsible expression on her face. She looked as if she wanted to say something, but after all, she was the Empress of a nation and was very good at hiding her emotions. Empress Li was slightly taken aback, then a kind smile appeared on her face. She held Yun Shang's hand and looked her up and down. The more she looked at Yun Shang, the more she liked her. "Your surname is Yun?" Her appearance and aura are somewhat similar to that of the old general Yun Shang. "Could it be that you're from the Marshal Saint General's estate?" Empress Li was indeed the daughter of a merchant. Her eyes were very sharp, and she guessed Yun Shang's origins with one sentence. Yun Shang, on the other hand, seemed to agree on the surface when she heard this, but she was secretly rolling her eyes in her heart. Speaking of which, how did she resemble her grandfather? Yun Ba had the looks of a typical military general. His body was as burly as a bear, his voice was like a gong, his eyes like a bull's, and his nose like a lion's. Even her father and second uncle looked like her grandmother who had passed away many years ago. As for Yun Shang's appearance, she looked exactly like Hu Jiuxing, who had the celestial fox bloodline. The two chatted for a while and Yun Shang told Empress Li about the general situation, as well as how Yi Baiming was cursed by the Black Qilin. After learning that Yi Chengtian had died many years ago, Empress Li's beautiful face didn't have much of an expression. To her, from the moment Yi Chengtian had given her to He Yao as a bargaining chip, Yi Chengtian was already dead in her heart. When the Empress of Zhou State, after being dead for more than 20 years, once again condensed her soul and appeared in front of Jin Yu and the Netherworld Ghost King, it was as if she was alive. The man and beast's reactions were completely different. The Netherworld Ghost King was ecstatic at first, but then, like a youth who had just experienced his first awakening of love, a suspicious blush appeared on his face. In comparison, Jin Yu's reaction was much more normal. He didn't step forward and only sized up the woman in front of him. Empress Li also looked at Jin Yu in a daze. After a long while, she sighed. "Jin, it's been hard on you all these years." However, this cry awakened a memory in the deepest part of Yi Baiming's memory. She really was his mother. The mother and son looked at each other. For a moment, they didn't know where to start. Cough, cough. The Netherworld Ghost King coughed a few times when he saw Yi Baiming and Empress Li acting as if they were family. His coughs didn't attract Empress Li's attention, but they reminded Yun Shang. "Ghost King, I've already saved her for you. You should fulfill your promise and fulfill my 3 conditions." Yun Shang's face was a little pale because she had exhausted too much energy, But when she mentioned the Netherworld Ghost King's 3 conditions, her black eyes lit up. The Netherworld Ghost King felt goosebumps all over his body from Yunshang's stare. He looked at Li Qingqing, who also turned her beautiful eyes and looked at him. He thought to himself that he had to leave a good impression in front of Li Qingqing. At this moment, he would probably agree to whatever Yunshang wanted without hesitation. First, I want the Heart Distress Lantern. Yunshang's purpose in coming to the underworld was to find the Heart Distress Lantern for her mother. That's not difficult. Since Qingqing has already come back to life, I don't have any use for the Heart Distress Lantern. There's no harm in giving it to you. In the eyes of others, the 8 Desolation Divine artifact might be incomparably precious, but in the eyes of the Netherworld Ghost King, it was just an ordinary lantern. Li Qingqing's soul had been baptized by the Divine Lotus Hellfire. Her soul was incomparably tough. Even the Demon Suppression Array was unable to harm her soul. This made the Netherworld Ghost King very satisfied. As long as it had nothing to do with Li Qingqing's life, he couldn't be bothered to find out who had the Heart Distress Lantern. The second condition is for me to hold onto the Netherworld Ghost Key forever. Yunshang calmly stated her second condition. Netherworld Ghost Key? That thing doesn't matter. It's something that I refined anyway. It can be used to travel between the human realm and the underworld. It's used to annoy the underworld god. As long as he doesn't take it back, you can keep it. As the Netherworld Ghost King spoke, he even gave Baby Sheep, who was on Yunshang's shoulder, a sinister smile, causing Baby Sheep to immediately shrink back in fear. The Netherworld Ghost King believed that the underworld god definitely wouldn't take back the key. That Ice Mountain underworld god definitely hoped that the pink little magical beast would occasionally wander around the underworld. This time the underworld god should properly thank him. Don't worry, I definitely won't misuse the Netherworld Ghost Key. As Yunshang spoke, she meaningfully looked at the Netherworld Ghost King. At the same time, she faintly glanced at Baby Sheep from the corner of her eyes. Chapter 1153. When Bobo Sheep heard that its master wanted the Netherworld Ghost Key, it was a little unhappy. Oh, how could its master be so stupid to want that stupid key? Bobo Sheep did not want to come to the underworld at all. The Netherworld Ghost King thought for a moment. The Ghost Key was a necessary tool to travel between the underworld and the human world. Although the order of the underworld would be disrupted if this human female magician obtained the Ghost Key, it was still better than letting it fall into the hands of evil people. Although this woman did not seem to distinguish between good and evil, her way of doing things was different from ordinary people. Now that she was a necromancer, she would not act rashly if the Netherworld Ghost Key fell into her hands. As for the third condition, I will keep it for now. If I think of it in the future, I will ask you for the third condition. Yunshang was able to obtain the Heartache Lantern and the Netherworld Ghost Key in one go, so this trip was not in vain. Yunshang, rest for a moment. Mother and I still have some things to discuss. Jean Coin nodded at Yunshang and left with Empress Li. After Yunshang and Yi Baiming separated, she did not immediately meditate. Although Yunshang did not ask, she felt that there was something wrong between Yi Baiming and Empress Li. Before Yunshang could meditate, Yunshang found Bobo Sheep. Bobo, before I meditate, you have to do me a favor. After the incident at the Ghost King Cave, Yunshang and Bobo's relationship had become more harmonious. Dear Master, no matter what you say, Bobo will agree. Bobo Sheep flattered. Don't speak too soon. I want you to find the underworld god and ask about something. Yunshang could not help but laugh when she saw Bobo Sheep's flattering look. Sure enough, when Bobo Sheep heard that it was going to find the underworld god, it immediately became listless like a frosted eggplant. Okay, Master, why do you want to find that big bad guy? Bobo Sheep looked unwilling, but under Yunshang's persuasion, it agreed to go find the underworld god. I want to know why Empress Li was captured and brought to the underworld. Yunshang was also very curious as to why Empress Li had ended up like this. What terrible crimes had she committed? No problem. Leave it to Bobo. Bobo will go find the smelly fart god now. Bobo Sheep flapped his wings and disappeared with a whoosh. On the other side of things, Yi Biming and Empress Li, mother and son, for the first time after so many years of separation. Mother has already heard about you from Miss Yoon. Empress Li looked at the gold coins in front of her. Even though she hadn't seen Yi Biming's human form with her own eyes, she had heard from Yoon Shang that Yi Biming was very similar to her. He was a rare handsome man back then. Dollar looked at Empress Li. In fact, he did not have a clear memory of Empress Li. After all, Yi Biming had been young and blind. But in his heart, he always thought of his mother. Now that he saw the woman in front of him, although she looked 70 to 80% similar to him, she was a little different from what he remembered. To be exact, Empress Li did not make him feel particularly close. There was no excitement between mother and son. No excitement of meeting again after so many years. From Empress Li's expression, it was the same. Dollar could even see that deep in Empress Li's eyes, there was a deep fear. Perhaps it was because the mother and son had been separated for too long that he had an illusion. The Phantasm Ghost King is a good person. Dollar stopped thinking about it and asked about Empress Li's future plans. Even though he had the mentality that a mountain could not accommodate two tigers, Dollar did not like the Phantasm Ghost King. That man had almost killed Yoon Shang. But he could clearly see that the Phantasm Ghost King was sincere to Empress Li. Although Empress Li had condensed her soul, she was still a ghost. She could not return to the human world. With the Phantasm Ghost King here to take care of her, Yi Biming felt more at ease. He hoped that his mother could let go of the knot in her heart and her disappointment in men and accept the Phantasm Ghost King. A trace of blush flashed across Empress Li's beautiful face. Just now, in front of the Phantasm Ghost King, she had deliberately pretended to be cold. But in her heart, she was tormented. For more than 10 years, her soul had been unclear. Although she did not know what had happened in the outside world, she knew that there was a man who had always been taking care of her. When she played the zither, that man sat quietly to the side. When she was in a daze, that man accompanied her in a daze. Empress Li had experienced 3 men in her life. The first was the Yi Di of Zhou State. He had received her most sincere feelings when she was young. But Yi Chengtian was also the one who had hurt her the most. The second was the patriarch of the Black Qilin clan, He Yao. He Yao's love for Empress Li was more like a robbery. Empress Li's life was also ruined by He Yao. After experiencing these 2 men, Empress Li thought that she would not be moved by any other man. She did not expect that she would meet the Phantasm Ghost King after her death. In terms of strength, the Phantasm Ghost King was stronger than Yi Di and He Yao. But to Empress Li, he was her salvation. He is a good man. I will stay in the underworld. Empress Li also understood that staying by the Phantasm Ghost King's side was the best choice for her. Although she had not fallen in love with the Phantasm Ghost King yet, she was already used to the feeling of that man by her side. She would try to fall in love with him for many years to come. Bam! A muffled groan came from outside the door. Yi Biming and Empress Li could not help but smile. Yi Biming had already noticed that the Phantasm Ghost King was sneakily following behind the mother and son when they were having a private conversation. To think that a Ghost King would learn to eavesdrop like a thief. It was quite funny. Empress Li also pursed her lips and smiled. But when she saw Yi Biming's eyes, her smile seemed a little forced. He has already left. You ask whatever you want. I knew that this day would come. Empress Li sighed. As expected, she could not hide it anymore. Yi Biming was much sharper than she had imagined. Is my father really He Yao? Yi Biming's words were meant for the Phantasm Ghost King. As expected, the Phantasm Ghost King left after getting a satisfactory answer. He Yao is not worthy. Empress Li's expression changed when she heard He Yao's name. To Empress Li, He Yao was the biggest nightmare of her life. Could it be that I am Yi Chengtian's son? Yi Biming's expression was a little gloomy. You really don't remember anything at all? You are not He Yao's son. Nor are you Yi Chengtian's son. You are not even my son. Empress Li sighed. Yi Biming was shocked. How is that possible? If you're not my mother, then who am I? This matter started more than 20 years ago. At that time, I had just married Enchanting and was still young. My mind was filled with love. Empress Li said softly with a disappointed look on her face. Chapter 1154. Once upon a time, this memory was a scar that Empress Li didn't want to touch. It happened not long after Empress Li and Enchanting got married. At the time, Enchanting wasn't the crown prince of Zhou state. He was just a weak and depressed prince. One day, Enchanting brought her to Heiyao in the name of taking her out for a trip. What happened after that was just as Yi Baiming knew. Empress Li went through the most humiliating days of her life. Then why? Could it be that Qing Mama was lying? Yi Baiming was puzzled. Qing Mama was the old palace maid who took care of Yi Baiming since he was young. She was also Empress Li's nanny. Qing Mama was the one who told Yi Baiming everything about Yi Di and Heiyao. She didn't lie. It's just that I was afraid back then and didn't tell her the whole truth. Heiyao brought me to the Qilin tomb and humiliated me. He even wanted to bring me back to the Eight Desolates mainland. I would rather die than go back with a man I don't love. So I would rather die than obey. That day, his subordinates came to find him. I wanted to run away but unknowingly got lost, Empress Li said. Empress Li didn't know that Heiyao had set up a magic array outside the Qilin tomb to prevent her from escaping. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't get out. Just as Empress Li was about to commit suicide in despair, a voice sounded by her ear. "Woman, if you're not afraid of death, why don't you make a deal with me?" That voice came from somewhere. Empress Li was brave enough to not faint from fright. Who are you?" Empress Li trembled with fear. "It doesn't matter who I am. You only need to know that I am someone who can help you. Not only can I save you, but I also know that you hate those two men to the core. I have a way to help you take revenge on them." That voice seemed to have a magical power that made Empress Li involuntarily tilt her head to listen. Empress Li knew that if this voice could break through Heiyao's power and enter the Qilin tomb, he couldn't be an ordinary person. "How can you help me?" There was only one thought in Empress Li's mind, and that was revenge. She wanted revenge on Heiyao and Enchanting. "Then I have to ask you, what do you want them to end up with?" That voice was filled with pride and arrogance. It was as if there was nothing in the world that he couldn't do. Li Qingcheng was suspicious. If it was said that this terrifying voice wanted to deal with the fledgling Enchanting, she would still believe it. However, Li Qingcheng did not believe him if he said that he could even deal with Heiyao. With Heiyao's strength and the Eight Desolation tribe behind him, there were very few people who could match him on the continent at that time. This person was alone, yet he was so confident. However, Li Qingcheng chose to believe that person's words. At that time, Li Qingcheng had already fallen into despair. No one could help her. Only this unknown voice could help her. At this thought, Li Qingcheng's heart hardened. Before this, Li Qingcheng was still a young woman with love in her heart. However, her heart had turned completely cold after she had gone through all that for personal gain. She couldn't wait to kill those two men with her own hands. That mysterious voice knew everything about Li Qingcheng like the back of its hand. "I want Enchanting to die a horrible death." Li Qingcheng's face was filled with hatred. What about the tribe leader of the Black Qilin tribe? That voice was like a venomous snake as it lingered in Li Qingcheng's ears. "I want Heiyao to suffer a fate worse than death." Li Qingcheng sobbed. She was filled with hatred. "I can help you fulfill both of your wishes. However, before I fulfill my promise, you have to promise me something. I need to borrow your stomach." "What do you mean?" Empress Li's voice was filled with fear. "What I mean is very simple. I want to borrow your body and transform into a human. After I become an adult, I will avenge you. Regardless of whether it is Heiyao or Enchanting, I will fulfill your wishes." That deep voice was cold and deep. Li Qingcheng had the urge to run away. However, the hatred in her heart for Heiyao and Enchanting still prevailed. "Just this condition. Then why did you choose me?" Li Qingcheng instinctively looked at her flat stomach. If it was just borrowing someone's stomach to give birth to a child, This mysterious voice should be able to find many suitable candidates. Not everyone can withstand my soul. You are a woman with a strong will, and your identity fits my requirements very well. Let me tell you the truth. During the 10 months of pregnancy, I will absorb the nutrients in your body bit by bit. Your body will gradually weaken. After giving birth to me, you can only live for 6 years at most. That cold voice was like a gust of wind from hell. Empress Li couldn't help but shiver. He could only live for 6 years, but would he be able to avenge her? Death was nothing to Li Qingqing at that time. Hatred had won over everything. Her body was already dirty. If she could use her body to give birth to a powerful cultivator that even the Zhou state and the Black Qilin tribe feared. Alright, I promise you. Li Qingqing had just finished speaking. Before Li Qingqing could react, she saw a ray of light coming from the front. She only felt a sharp pain in her stomach. Then, she lost consciousness. When I woke up again, that voice was already gone. At that time, I thought it was a dream. Not long after, I forgot about it. After that, He Yao forced me to go to the 8 wastelands. I threatened him with death. He Yao had no choice but to send me back to the Zhou state. About 2 months later, I found out that I was pregnant. After knowing that Li Qingqing was pregnant, Yi Changtian was angry and hateful. He always thought that the child was He Yao's. But Li Qingqing knew that the child couldn't be He Yao's. Because she had already secretly taken the pill, she definitely wouldn't have gotten pregnant at that time. The pregnancy period of the child in her stomach was the night she heard that strange voice. Thinking back to that time, when the voice said that it would avenge Yi Changtian and He Yao, Li Qingqing was even more frightened. Only when Yi Baiming was born did Li Qingqing let out a sigh of relief. He was a very cute child. The only regret was that, for some reason, Yi Baiming was born blind. So, I'm the voice you heard in the Qilin tomb? I'm just a thing of unknown origin that was born in your stomach? When Yi Baiming heard this, his heart sank. He didn't even know who he was? If what Empress Li said was true, then what was the point of everything he had done all these years? Chapter 1155. When Yi Baiming was still a child, he was neglected by his father because of his blindness. He worked hard to learn the zither and listen to Empress Li, hoping to receive some love. After Empress Li's death, he learned that he was He Yao's son. His personality changed greatly and he was imprisoned in the cold palace. After that, he decided to take revenge for Empress Li. He began to take over the power that Empress Li had left behind in her early years and grew stronger. He forced Yi Changtian to abdicate and eventually became the Prince Regent of Zhou State. He fought with He Yao several times because he wanted to take revenge for his mother, Empress Li. But in the end, all of this was false. Whether it was Yi Changtian, He Yao, or the woman in front of him, none of them had anything to do with him. What he had done all these years was simply a joke. There was sadness and hatred in his golden eyes. At that moment, hatred almost drowned out Yi Baiming's rationality. He retreated step by step and laughed loudly. There was only coldness left in his heart. Then who was he and why was he born? Listen to my explanation. Even though I'm not your mother, even though I was afraid of you at first, as you grew up and I saw how sensible and cute you were, I really thought of you as my own son. After I died and came to the underworld, I was worried about you being alone in Zhou State, so Empress Li's voice was choked with sobs. Yes, Yi Baiming wasn't her blood, but she gave birth to him after 10 months of pregnancy. When she was pregnant with Yi Baiming, Empress Li was afraid at the thought of giving birth to a monster. She even tried to secretly abort this child of unknown origin. But every time she was about to do it, she couldn't harden her heart. Gradually, her belly grew. Qing Mama would always say happily, "Your Majesty, look at your belly. It must be a boy." As her belly grew bigger day by day, Empress Li could hear the heartbeat of the child in her belly. Slowly, she developed feelings for him that were similar to that of a mother and son. Especially when she gave birth to Yi Baiming, she found out that he was blind and his body was unusually weak. At that time, Empress Li had thought that perhaps everything in the Qilin tomb was just a dream. This child had nothing to do with that cold and heartless Shang Qing. With this thought in mind, Empress Li began to take care of Yi Baiming like a mother. However, not long after Yi Baiming learned how to walk, Empress Li discovered that this child actually had a 5-elemental Dharma soul. His talent in martial arts was also exceptionally good. At the same time, Empress Li also felt her body weakening bit by bit. At that time, she had no choice but to suddenly wake up. The truth was the truth. This child was indeed formed by the mysterious voice in the Black Qilin King's tomb. However, for some unknown reason, that voice sealed a portion of its memories when it became a fetus. Empress Li was filled with regret, but it was too late. She could only count the days one by one. She began to use the influence and wealth left behind by her maternal family to cultivate her own strength and the Dark North Guards. After Empress Li finished speaking, Yi Baiming remained silent. Empress Li also appeared to be very uneasy. She knew that her words sounded like an explanation. Yi Baiming definitely wouldn't be able to listen for a while. The Netherworld Ghost King said that when you were at the demon-suppressing stone tablet, you tried to break through the demon-suppressing formation many times. Could it be that it was for me? Why? Could it be that you were afraid that I would go back on my word and forget our agreement back then to help you take revenge? Don't worry. Even though I don't remember what I said back then, I've already taken half of your revenge for you. Yi Baiming looked up. His voice couldn't help but tremble slightly. No, it's not what you think. I tried to break through the demon-suppressing formation because I regretted it. Whether it's Yi Chengtian or He Yao, they are all my enemies. They have nothing to do with you. I was afraid that you would be like me. Because of hatred, you would lose your rationality and miss out on your own life. However, when I saw Yunshang, I was also relieved. I knew that you wouldn't walk down the same path as Mother. Empress Li's eyes were hazy with tears, but the corners of her lips curled into a relieved smile. Fortunately, her Jin had met such a woman. A woman who possessed the pure divine fire of the divine lotus fire would definitely be able to accompany Yi Baiming to the end. You can choose not to acknowledge me as your mother, but Mother still has to remind you. Even though I don't know your origins, if you want to find out about your past, it's best that you make a trip to the Black Qilin tribe. Empress Li wiped the corners of her red and swollen eyes. Empress Li knew that all these years, she had caused Yi Baiming a lot of harm. She had caused him to carry her hatred and live for so many years. However, she was just a ghost. There was nothing she could do to make up for it. The only thing she could tell Yi Baiming was this suggestion. Empress Li had once sent people to investigate the Qilin King's tomb, but they didn't find any clues. However, since he could enter the Qilin King's tomb, Yi Baiming's previous life should also be from the Black Qilin tribe. There was no doubt about this. I've already thought about this. I don't want a third person to know about what happened today, including Yunshang. After hearing Empress Li's explanation, Yi Baiming felt a little better. However, it was very difficult for him to explain this to Yunshang. As for who exactly he was, it was likely that they would only know the truth after going to the Black Qilin tribe to investigate. Empress Li sighed. Indeed, she hadn't told a third person about this matter. After Yi Baiming and Empress Li parted ways, he went to Yunshang's room. After getting used to sharing a bed with little Wildcat, it was inevitable that he couldn't fall asleep at night once they parted ways. Standing outside the door and listening to little Wildcat's gentle breathing inside the room, Yi Baiming knew that she was still meditating. At this moment, Yi Baiming's heart was in a mess. He didn't want to disturb Yunshang, so he simply turned around and left. Not long after Yi Baiming left, Popping Sheep, who had gone to Ming's son to inquire about information, had already contacted Ming's Sunday. As for the thing that Popping Sheep used to contact Ming's son, it was the Ming Jade that should have been smashed to pieces. Earlier, Popping Sheep had thought that he could get rid of the Ming Jade forever. Who would have thought that after the son of the underworld left, Popping Sheep would discover that the strange underworld jade had actually recovered and returned to its body. However, with the Ming Jade, it was much more convenient for him to find Ming Sunday. He only needed to chant Ming Sun's voice to communicate with him through divine consciousness. Ming Sun, come out quickly. As soon as Popping Sheep finished speaking, the scene of the Hell Palace appeared in front of them. Chapter 1156. In the dark Hell Palace, Ming-Ri was lying on his side on the couch. His black and gold Hell God's robe was open, revealing his smooth and exquisite marble-like chest. A few strands of wild long hair fell on his chest, causing people to be lost in fanciful thoughts. A beautiful scene was faintly discernible. Damn meat man. Why are you wearing such revealing clothes for no reason? Baby sheep's originally pink wool turned fiery red after witnessing this scene. It howled and used its two fleshy wings to cover its bean-like eyes. However, if one looked carefully, they would discover that this fellow was secretly glancing a few more times. Weakling, could it be that you have changed your mind and want to come and seek refuge with me? Ming-Ri said lazily. There was a hint of mischief in his long and narrow eyes. He thought that after Baby Sheep obtained the nether jade this time, it would have to wait for thousands or hundreds of years before contacting him again. He did not expect that this time, the weakling would come looking for him so soon. Ming-Ri's eyebrows were full of joy, but he still had a cold expression on his face. Bah! Baby Sheep is too lazy to look for you. It's my dear master who wants to ask you a question. She wants to know why Empress Li was captured and brought to the underworld. Baby Sheep has seen her. Empress Li is beautiful. She is a good woman. Besides, she looks like she will fall if the wind blows. She doesn't look like a murderous maniac. From the perspective that Empress Li was the Qilin Brat's mother, and the Qilin Brat was the husband of his dear master, Baby Sheep's logic had already directly labeled Empress Li as a good person. It secretly cursed that the underworld must have not investigated clearly and randomly captured Empress Li. Weakling, you are really getting worse and worse. Have you forgotten that the underworld cannot privately divulge the deeds of any prisoner or ghost when they were alive? The Netherworld Ghost King also wanted to investigate this matter through me, but I also refused. Ming-Ri raised his eyebrows and rejected Baby Sheep's inquiry. Stingy Ming-Ri, forget it if you don't want to say it. Baby Sheep does not want to see you again. Goodbye. Baby Sheep snorted and threw the innocent nether jade out angrily. The nether jade bounced on the ground, and with a whoosh, it flew back to Baby Sheep's body. Baby Sheep was furious. It was depressed. What should it do? It couldn't complete its master's orders. Popping Sheep thought about it for a while. Suddenly, it had an idea. When the ancient netherworld magic array appeared, a gigantic four-sided hell flood dragon appeared above Ghost Water Stream. The Ghost Water Stream was the territory of the Netherworld Ghost King. Even the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon did not dare to trespass. If it wasn't for Baby Sheep, this little ancestor, who insisted that it come, it wouldn't have come even if it had to break the bones of the Nether Flood Dragon. Lord Bobo, what orders do you have? The four-sided Hell Flood Dragon pulled a long face. Only the heavens knew that it had secretly brought Popo, its master, and that ferocious beast to the underworld. He had thought that no one would know about this. Who would have thought that the god of the underworld already knew about it? The god of the underworld broke two of the four-sided Nether Flood Dragon's bones in a fit of rage. At this moment, the Nether Flood Dragon's abdomen was still aching faintly. Nether Flood Dragon, what kind of tone is that? Is it wrong for you to come and see this world god? Popo pouted. Lord Bobo, this little flood dragon doesn't dare. If you have something to ask, ask quickly. This little flood dragon will definitely tell you everything. The four-sided Hell Flood Dragon braced himself. Don't worry. This time, I'm not asking you to secretly bring anyone over. It's just that my master wants to ask you about a person. About 20 years ago, there was a very beautiful spirit that was brought to the underworld. Before she died, her identity was the Empress of Zhou State. Do you have any impression of this person? Popo couldn't get any information from the underworld sun, but it thought that the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon might be able to get some information. This time, Baby Sheep was like a blind cat meeting a dead mouse. It really asked the right person. When the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon heard Popo Sheep's description, it immediately remembered. A woman like Empress Li was unforgettable even for the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon. Lord Bobo, this little flood dragon has some impression of this matter. However, That woman should have already been imprisoned in the demon-subduing stone tablet and turned into ashes long ago. She is the most important criminal. She should have been thrown into the demon-subduing stone tablet as soon as she arrived at the Shiwei Gate. The four-sided Hell Flood Dragon had some impression of Empress Li because, other than her extraordinary beauty and noble status, the punishment brand on Empress Li's body was personally branded by it. That was also the most serious punishment brand that the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon had branded on her body in the thousands of years it had served as the underworld emissary. The most serious? What? Four-sided Hell Flood Dragon, are your old eyes playing tricks on you? Could it be that the punishment brand on her body is even more serious than the Qilin brats? Popo Sheep was shocked. Yes, the punishment brand on that woman's body is 100,000. It means that she will kill 100,000 living beings. The four-sided Hell Flood Dragon was also very puzzled because it clearly didn't feel any killing aura on Empress Li. However, the crime that the Lord God of the Underworld issued on the wanted order couldn't be wrong. Strange. How can there be such a strange thing? Sigh, it seems that only Ming-Ri, that fellow, knows about this matter. Forget it. Forget it. At least I got some information. I'd better go back and tell Master first. Popo Sheep impatiently left the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon behind and went to find Yun Shang. When Popo Sheep found Yun Shang had just finished her meditation. Popo Sheep told Yun Shang all the information that it had obtained from Ming-Ri and the four-sided Hell Flood Dragon. After hearing that, Yun Shang also pondered for a moment. It seemed that Empress Li still had some unspeakable secrets. However, Popo has to remind Master of one thing. Although that brat Ming-Ri is very arrogant, he is really very strong. Since he has judged Empress Li to be the most serious criminal, it means that Empress Li has really killed 100,000 people. Popo Sheep rarely spoke up for Ming-Ri. However, it also couldn't figure out how Empress Li looked like she had killed 100,000 people. Let's put this matter to rest for the time being. If I'm not wrong, Empress Li should be living in the underworld in the future. The Netherworld Ghost King won't look into her past. Yun Shang investigated Empress Li's matter only because she wanted to help Yi Baiming. She wasn't too interested in Empress Li's past. Moreover, in her opinion, even if Empress Li had done something wrong, she had been like a lonely ghost for the past 20 years. Speaking of which, her punishment was enough. Ghost King, what do you think? Yun Shang said crisply as she rolled her eyes. Not bad, little girl. The way you speak and the way you do things is really to Ai's liking. With a burst of arrogant laughter, the Netherworld Ghost King landed on the ground like a bat. Chapter 1157. When Popping Sheep had told Yun Shang about Empress Li's past, the Phantasm Ghost King had heard everything. The Phantasm Ghost King wasn't too surprised by the fact that Empress Li was a serious criminal. The Phantasm Ghost King had already removed the mark on Li Qingqing's body when he had saved her. He didn't want Li Qingqing to have any unpleasant memories of the past. The Phantasm Ghost King had once questioned the Underworld God, but the Underworld God had also refused to tell him what crime Li Qingqing had committed. He, the Phantasm Ghost King, had killed countless people in his life. Even if his woman had to face any crime, he would take care of it for her. I didn't think that the Grand Ghost King would like to lie on the roof and eavesdrop, teased Yun Shang. Haha. I didn't think that you would be able to see through Ai's concealment technique. A trace of praise appeared in the Phantasm Ghost King's eyes. It wasn't that the Phantasm Ghost King was boasting, but his concealment technique was second in the underworld. Even the Underworld God couldn't compare to him in this aspect. He didn't think that Yun Shang would be able to see through it. What the Phantasm Ghost King didn't know was that Yun Shang's breathing and eyesight were far superior to ordinary people due to her family's cultivation technique. However, if she hadn't heard an unusual breathing sound, she probably wouldn't have noticed that the Phantasm Ghost King was on the roof. Little girl, don't speak nonsense. That fat sheep of yours didn't even say anything and summoned that stinking brat, the Underworld God, above Ai's ghost water stream. How would I know if you have some unspeakable plot to deal with my ghost water stream? The Phantasm Ghost King was unconvinced. He had long since noticed that the underworld god's four-sided netherworld flood dragon had stayed above his ghost water stream for a while. If it was any other day, he would definitely go and grab that fat sheep and cook it in a hot pot. Thinking of this, the phantasm ghost king evilly made a salivating gesture at popping sheep. With a guilty face, Bo shrank into Yun Shang's arms. Ing, the underworld was too scary. It wanted to return to the human world quickly. Then the Ghost King should have already ascertained that Bobo doesn't have any malicious intent, and it doesn't have that ability. It's already late, so forgive Yun Shang for not seeing you off. Yun Shang smiled. She didn't believe that the phantasm Ghost King would eavesdrop for such a small matter. Ahem, little girl. Actually, I see that your physique is very good, and your attainments in magic are not bad, so... The phantasm Ghost King coughed a few times and deliberately did not continue speaking. But after waiting for a long time, Yun Shang and Baby Sheep stared at him with their eyes wide open, not saying anything. The phantasm Ghost King almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What the hell? Could this man and sheep be idiots? To think that he had thought that this little lass was smart and cunning. She was to his liking. But now that he looked at her, he felt that something was wrong. This little lass, why didn't she have any reaction after he hinted for so long? At this time, shouldn't someone who was slightly smarter immediately kneel down and eagerly acknowledge him as their master? How could the phantasm Ghost King know that Yun Shang and Baby Sheep were communicating with their spiritual sense? My dear master, this big pervert isn't praising you, right? I remember that Mother Goddess said the same thing to Ming Ri before. Baby Sheep's face was filled with envy. Thinking back, Mother Goddess would often praise Ming Ri like this. Whenever it was Baby Sheep's turn, Mother Goddess would either roll her eyes or have a look of disappointment on her face. Bo, how many times has Master taught you? As a woman, you can't be soft-hearted. Don't say anything and see what the Ghost King's intentions are. Yun Shang was very calm. Oh. So the Ghost King wants me to acknowledge you as my master? Yun Shang had an expression of sudden understanding. The phantasm Ghost King hurriedly nodded his head like a chick pecking rice. This little lass had finally understood. Sorry, I'm not interested in acknowledging you as my master. To acknowledge a master, I have to kneel 3 times and kowtow 9 times. I, Yun Shang, kneel to the heavens and earth and only kowtow to my parents and elders. Yun Shang's face was filled with interest. My dear master doesn't want to acknowledge you as her master. Otherwise, she is Empress Li's daughter-in-law and your disciple. In the human world, this is called ***********. She would be drowned in a pig's cage. What made the phantasm Ghost King want to vomit blood was that Baby Sheep was adding fuel to the fire. You fat sheep, do you believe that I won't immediately slaughter you? If you don't understand, then don't pretend to understand. The phantasm Ghost King was very depressed. But that's right, Yun Shang is Li Qingqing's daughter-in-law. She is also my daughter-in-law. The phantasm Ghost King muttered to himself for a moment. Forget it, I will make an exception. You don't have to kneel and kowtow, and you don't have to call me master. As long as you inherit Ai's mantle and learn Ai's specialty dark magic, that's all. In any case, the phantasm Ghost King wasn't the type who liked excessive formalities. Dark magic? Hearing this, Yun Shang's heart was filled with ecstasy. If one were to ask who had the most outstanding dark magic in the human world and the underworld, it would undoubtedly be the Dark Ghost King. Although Yun Shang hadn't truly fought with him before, she was certain that the Ghost King's mastery of dark magic surpassed any dark magician that Yun Shang had ever seen. However, although Yun Shang wanted to learn dark magic from the Ghost King, she remembered that her mother, Hu Jiuxing, was still waiting for her to save her. Her mother's soul was incomplete. The longer she delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for her recovery. Her father would also be more anxious. Learning dark magic isn't a problem. However, Ghost King, this one is a magic god. I won't learn ordinary dark magic. In other words, Yun Shang either didn't learn dark magic or learned the phantasm Ghost King's most powerful dark magic. Little girl, your tone is quite arrogant. You haven't even learned how to walk and you want to run. However, don't underestimate I. Who do you think I am? I am a dark magic genius rarely seen in the underworld. The dark magic that I can use is the one and only god-slaying magic in the two worlds. The phantasm ghost king snorted. God-slaying magic. When Yunshang and Popping Sheep heard this, they were dumbfounded. What kind of magic was this? Just hearing it made them feel that it was amazing. If it was anyone else who said this, Yunshang and Baby Sheep wouldn't believe it. However, it was the phantasm ghost king who said it. He moved unhindered through the mortal and divine realms. He was arrogant because he had the strength to be arrogant. Phantasm ghost king, according to what you said, could it be that the magic you're going to teach me can even slaughter gods? Yunshang couldn't help feeling nervous. That's right. As long as you can cultivate this kind of magic, as long as you don't meet a superior god, you'll definitely be able to kill everyone in the god realm. The Netherworld Ghost King was extremely pleased with himself. He didn't believe that Yunshang wouldn't obediently accept him as her master after hearing what he said. Chapter 1158. The Phantasm Ghost King's description was extravagant, but the more Yunshang listened, the more she felt that something was wrong. Ghost King, if this magic is really so powerful, then why are you teaching it to me for no reason? There should be many people in the underworld who want to learn it, right? Yunshang didn't believe in something as good as a free lunch falling from the sky. In the human world, generally speaking, only basic magic and low-level magic would be sold in large quantities on the market. Intermediate magic scrolls were already extremely expensive. As for intermediate magic and above, it was even more priceless. Even if there was one, the price would be astronomical. It would be worth tens of thousands or even tens of thousands of purple gold. Above that, sacred-level magic was even rarer. In the Boundless Continent, only the Magic Temple or the continent's Magic Elite Camp would have magic trees or magic steels. This situation was probably similar in the underworld. The Phantasm Ghost King was close to God, or rather, he himself was a god-level existence. He was full of praises for it. He was probably an unparalleled existence in both the human world and the underworld. It was also because of this that Yunshang was suspicious. Why did the Phantasm Ghost King insist on teaching her magic? Although the Phantasm Ghost King was her stepfather in name, there was definitely something strange about him teaching her such a powerful magic for no reason. Cough, cough. Little girl, how can you be so petty and jealous of the heart of a gentleman? Fine, I will make it clear in advance. This kind of magic is not something that anyone can learn. Moreover, to achieve the effect of slaying a god, you must have a cultivation similar to I. Most importantly, this is a profound magic that I have only comprehended for a short period of time. It is only the first half. As for the second half, I have yet to comprehend it. As expected, an awkward expression appeared on the Phantasm Ghost King's handsome face. Actually, he didn't want to tell Yunshang so much. But who asked this girl to be so astute? She actually saw through it with a single glance. To put it bluntly, the Phantasm Ghost King wanted to use Yunshang as a guinea pig to see how far she could cultivate this spell. In other words, he wanted to see if it was possible for her to complete this profound dark magic in the future. Yunshang and Baby Sheep looked at him with disdain. Gentlemen? If the Phantasm Ghost King was a gentleman, then there would be no villains in this world. Ghost King, if that's the case, then I might not be able to learn your secret. There is still an incomplete, profound magic. It's dangerous. Yunshang was a calm person. Even if she knew how powerful this magic was, as long as there was a trace of danger. Yunshang had also heard many rumors about certain magicians who had learned an incomplete type of magic due to their greed for more powerful magic. If it was light, they would be severely injured. If it was serious, their magic soul would be damaged. And if it was serious, they would no longer be able to cultivate magic. No, no, no. You will definitely be able to learn it. This profound magic can only be learned by mages with multiple magic souls. Speaking of which, Yi Baiming can also learn it, but he has one less magic soul than you. Therefore, you should be able to learn it better than him. Although this profound magic isn't complete, you can comprehend it on your own while using it. The Netherworld Ghost King praised Yun Shang's talent. The more magic souls, the better the learning effect. There is such a magic? Yun Shang was even more suspicious. Let's put it this way. Actually, I was once a 4-element mage. The Phantasm Ghost King took out his magic soul. The Phantasm Ghost King's magic soul was much larger than Yun Shang's 6-colored magic soul. Yun Shang only felt that the sky suddenly darkened. It was as if the Phantasm Ghost King's magic soul covered an area of 1 mile. When the magic soul appeared, there was a terrifying magic fluctuation that was enough to destroy the heavens and the earth. When ordinary mages encountered this fluctuation, they would be unable to help but feel fear. Even when using magic, their magic would be greatly reduced. However, it was different from the 4-element magic soul that the Phantasm Ghost King mentioned. The Phantasm Ghost King's current magic soul was black. This meant that he was only a dark mage. You should also be very curious as to why I only have a single elemental Dharma soul left. It's because I've transformed my remaining 3 elemental Dharma souls into the Darkness Dharma soul. That's why my current Dharma soul is so powerful. This is also the reason why I was able to break through to the divine rank 20 years ago. The Phantasm Ghost King's words caused Yun Shang's expression to become serious. She suddenly realized that what the Phantasm Ghost King was going to say next could very well affect her future magic cultivation. Multi-element mages were rare on the continent. Their talent was outstanding and their future achievements were much higher than those of a single element. This saying was the same whether it was in the divine realm, the human realm, or the underworld. When the Phantasm Ghost King first started cultivating, this was also the case. However, when the Phantasm Ghost King broke through to the divine rank, he discovered that this saying was wrong. This was because when one reached the divine rank, any magic used would be powerful enough to move mountains and seas. However, at the same time, the magic consumption would be even greater. In comparison, a multi-elemental mage would be more severely drained after using multiple types of magic. On the other hand, single-element mages were the exact opposite. They had cultivated one type of magic for many years and were more outstanding in magic application and control. As a result, a situation was formed. In a battle between 2 divine rank mages, a single-element mage would be stronger than a multi-element mage. I might as well tell you, when I broke through to the divine rank, I went to the divine realm to find a way to condense a magic soul for Qingqing. However, in the divine realm, I met an intermediate god of the divine realm. That person was a single-element mage. In that battle, I was severely injured. It was also because of this that I learned from the painful experience and returned to the ghost water stream. After 3 years of bitter contemplation, I finally comprehended this special, profound magic. The Phantasm Ghost King did not hide anything and directly told Yun Shang about his experience. For a powerhouse like the Phantasm Ghost King, a single failure was an extremely shameful matter. Speaking of which, the Phantasm Ghost King and that intermediate god's strength were about the same. However, because the Phantasm Ghost King was a multi-element mage, he had exhausted his magic at the last moment. On the other hand, the intermediate god had a divine weapon from his sect and was able to defeat the Phantasm Ghost King in the end. The Phantasm Ghost King was extremely proud. He attributed a large part of his failure to his multi-element magic soul. In the end, he comprehended profound magic and forcefully reversed his magic soul into a dark magic soul. It was also because of this that the Phantasm Ghost King's divine power increased by leaps and bounds and finally reached the strength of a superior god. Chapter 1159. There was actually such a shocking magic that could reverse a Dharma soul in this world? If she hadn't personally witnessed the Phantasm Ghost King's powerful Dharma soul, Yun Shang wouldn't have believed it. Then after cultivating this profound magic, you didn't take revenge? If it was Yun Shang and someone made her suffer a crushing defeat, she would definitely make that person die an ugly death. Ha ha ha, as expected of the person I chose. Your thoughts are exactly the same as I's. Do I look like such a generous person? After I's Dharma soul completely turned into a dark Dharma soul, The first thing I did was to find that reckless mid-god. I destroyed his family jewels so that he would never be able to be a man again. The phantasm ghost king laughed with his hands on his hips. Dearest master, don't listen to indecent things. This person is truly a pervert. Popping Sheep quickly used its wings to cover Yun Shang's ears as it muttered. Yun Shang dryly coughed a few times. Fine, she had to admit that she and the phantasm ghost king had the same temperament. Back then, when she took revenge on Lu Minglang, she also used the same method. A mid-god was crippled just like that. The phantasm ghost king was truly lawless. However, after this emperor crippled that trash, his sect was enraged. Compared to that trash's master, I's strength is still a bit lacking. The phantasm ghost king embarrassedly said. That mid-level god sect was also a famous sect in the divine realm. His grandmaster was a godly venerable level existence that was even more terrifying than a high god. Even if the phantasm ghost king was several times stronger, he still wouldn't be his opponent. Thus, after the phantasm ghost king taught that trash a lesson, he decisively returned to the underworld. In these past few years, he had remained in the underworld and didn't leave. Even the gods of the god realm couldn't casually enter and exit the underworld. This was the law of the god realm. The phantasm ghost king's original intention was to wait until he comprehended this profound magic before fighting that reverend god. But now he had Li Qingcheng. When Li Qingcheng was still a soul, the phantasm ghost king had promised that he would accompany her on a tour of the 8 counties of the underworld once she recovered her soul. As a result, the phantasm ghost king could no longer focus on studying this profound magic. On the other hand, the phantasm ghost king also discovered that his darkness magic soul could no longer return to its previous state of being a 4-elemental magic soul. This was undoubtedly a huge obstacle for him to continue comprehending this profound magic. Just when the phantasm ghost king thought that he would never be able to complete this profound magic, Yun Shang appeared. What made the phantasm ghost king even more surprised was that not only was Yun Shang a 6-elemental magician, she also possessed a light magic soul and a divine flame. The reason why I have never been able to complete my profound magic is because I can only reverse a single aspect of it into a single-element dark magic soul, unable to reverse it back. But you're different. Your divine flame and light dharma soul are the purest energies in the world. If it's you, you might be able to recover a multi-elemental magic soul after a single conversion. When the phantasm ghost king spoke up to this point, Yun Shang already understood why he had chosen her. However, if she was unable to reverse her dharma soul, wouldn't that mean that she would be like the phantasm ghost king in the future, only possessing a single magic soul? Yun Shang hesitated in her heart, but she quickly came to a conclusion. This was a rare opportunity. If she trained properly, she might be able to reach the superior god realm like the phantasm ghost king. Even if she failed and only possessed a single elemental magic soul, her strength was still not to be underestimated. This would be a great help to her future journey to the 8 Desolates continent, where she would face experts like He Yao and the beast god Alter. All right, I'll learn this profound magic. Yun Shang nodded with certainty. That night, under the phantasm ghost king's careful guidance, Yun Shang carefully learned and comprehended the god-slaying magic that the phantasm ghost king was most proud of, the demon god transformation. After an entire night, Yun Shang comprehended the basic principles of the demon god transformation. On the same night, after Yi Baiming left Yun Shang, he also spent a night struggling with his heart. After hearing Empress Li explain her background, Yi Baiming's heart was unable to calm down for a long time. He walked out of the Ghost King cave alone and strolled through the Ghost Water Stream. Outside the Ghost Water Stream, the corpses of the experts from the 8 counties of the underworld had already been cleaned up. Considering that Li Qingcheng would be living here for a long time, the Phantasm Ghost King ordered the 4 counties of the underworld to reorganize the Ghost Water Stream. The murderous demonic plants around the Ghost Water Stream were all removed and replaced with various elegant flowers and plants. Inside the Ghost Water Stream, there were also ornamental koi fish. However, Yi Baiming wasn't in the mood to appreciate the scenery. He walked along the riverbank until he reached a secluded area. He took out an item from his body. It was a crystal with a wisp of a soul inside it. "Bastard, you scoundrel, you actually dared to hide it from me. Just watch, if I can come out, I'll definitely tear you to pieces." Shinjizi was infuriated. It was all his fault for believing this brat. What Qilin race? What Zhou states people? So they were all in cahoots with those people. Just now, Shinjizi seemed to have been killed. But in truth, Yi Baiming's attack had been quite skillful. He had secretly extracted Shinjizi's soul. Shinjizi wanted to curse a few more times, but when he saw the ruthlessness in Yi Baiming's golden eyes, he was speechless. This brat, how come he felt something was wrong after not seeing him for just a moment? Shinjizi sensed that Yi Baiming was even more terrifying than when he had first met him. This didn't mean that his strength had increased by a lot, but that he gave off a completely different feeling. Second priest, don't be impatient. Although I destroyed your physical body, strictly speaking, I still helped you. If it weren't for me, do you think you would have been able to escape the Netherworld Ghost King's pursuit? Yi Baiming calmly said. His words caused Shinjizi to be stunned. Yi Baiming was right. Shinjizi had tricked the Netherworld Ghost King. That fellow was a famous killing god in the Netherworld. If it weren't for Yi Baiming's help, Shinjizi would have fallen into the Netherworld Ghost King's hands and been tossed into the devil-suppressing stone tablet. At that time, Shinjizi would have been unable to beg for death. Humph, if that's the case, then I should be thanking you. Shinjizi found that he couldn't see through Yi Baiming. Wasn't this brat in cahoots with that female mage? Why would he help him for no reason? There's no need to thank me. We were just using each other. You also know that the only way for me to recover my physical body is to go to the Beast God altar and receive a baptism. I want you to recommend me to the Beast God altar. Yi Baiming had only made this decision after some consideration. He had to go to the 8th desolate continent to find clues to his identity. Chapter 1160. Is your goal in going to the 8th desolate's continent really just to transform into a human? Shinjizi's face was filled with disbelief. As the saying goes, once bitten, twice shy. This golden Qilin was definitely the most treacherous magical beast Shinjizi had ever seen in his life. It was even 1,000 times, 10,000 times more treacherous than those humans. Shinjizi naturally didn't know that Yi Baiming had grown up in a treacherous environment. How could the beasts of the 8th desolate's continent compare to him? Shinjizi had already been tricked by Yi Baiming once. This time he definitely wouldn't fall for it so easily. My goal has no conflict of interest with yours. You want to subdue the Black Qilin tribe. I also have a personal grudge with He Yao. I can help you, and you can help me return to my human form. Furthermore, only I can help you leave the Netherworld. Yi Baiming's words caused Shinjizi's heart to tremble. Shinjizi had bewitched the Netherworld Ghost King to lay down the Devil Suppression Formation. Many experts from the 8 underworld counties had fallen in this battle. This matter had caused the Nether God to fly into a rage. In his fury, he had razed the Divine Secrets Pavilion to the ground. Not only that, but he had also given the order to throw Shinjizi into the Devil Suppression Stone Steel, so that he would never be able to reincarnate. The relatives of the experts from the 8 underworld counties had all placed high rewards for Shinjizi's whereabouts. Every one of them hated the fact that they couldn't grind his bones to dust. Under these circumstances, Shinjizi really had become a rat that everyone wanted to beat up. Shinjizi, that sly scoundrel, was at his wit's end. No matter how he thought about it, only Yi Baiming could bring him out of the Netherworld without anyone noticing. Humph, brat, this priest agrees to your conditions. However, if you still dare to do anything after reaching the 8 desolate's continent, this old man will definitely let you know the power of the Beast God altar. Although Shinjizi wasn't confident that he could control Yi Baiming, he knew that as long as he returned to the 8 desolate's continent, he would definitely be able to subdue this brat with the strength of the first priest of the Beast God altar. Did this brat really think that the baptism of the Beast God altar was that easy? At that time, as long as this old man plays some tricks during the baptism, he will be just like the other believers of the Beast God altar, obedient to him and the Beast God altar. Shinjizi thought to himself as he pretended to be calm. What he did not know was that Yi Baiming had seen through every single one of his little schemes. At that time, it would be hard to tell who would take care of who. Seeing that Shun Jizi had agreed, Yi Baiming put away the magic crystal and returned to the Ghost King cave. At this time, the sky was gradually brightening. Yi Baiming was full of worries as he strolled to Yun Shang's room. Leaving the boundless land and heading to the Eight Desolates land was the decision that Yi Baiming made after a night of thinking. If he did not go to the Eight Desolates land, he would not be able to return to his human form. But in this way, he would have to be separated from Yun Shang. He was not willing to face Yun Shang as a Qilin for the rest of his life. To Yun Shang, this was no different from living as a widow. This was too unfair to her. Moreover, Yi Baiming also wanted to know what his true identity was. If everything that Li Qingcheng said was true, then his true identity was even more terrifying than He Yao of the Black Qilin tribe. The only thing that Yi Baiming was worried about was that his true identity would cause more harm to Yun Shang. After all, the Qilin King's curse almost killed Yun Shang when they were in the bridal chamber. Thinking of this, Yi Baiming could only harden his heart. If he went to the Eight Desolates land, he would not be able to return to his human form. In other words, if he discovered his true identity, it would be detrimental to Yun Shang. He might not be able to appear in front of Yun Shang again. Although he had already made his decision, when it came to actually taking action, it was so difficult. He did not even know how to tell the little wild cat. Just as Yi Baiming walked to the door, it suddenly opened. The person who walked out was the Phantasm Ghost King. The Phantasm Ghost King's face was full of smiles. Behind him was Yun Shang. The two of them looked very happy. Although he knew that the Phantasm Ghost King was infatuated with Li Qingcheng, when he saw Yun Shang and the Phantasm Ghost King alone, Yi Baiming could not help but feel sour in his heart. He snorted and let out a long nasal sound. Bop bop, Qilin boy, you're back. Dear Master has learned a very powerful magic. Bop Sheep flapped its wings and landed on Dollar. Its words resolved the awkwardness between them. Night Fox, why didn't I see you all night? Yun Shang walked up and patted Dollar's back. The latter glared at the Phantasm Ghost King. The Phantasm Ghost King rubbed his nose and tactfully walked away. Sigh, it seems that being someone's stepfather is not an easy thing. After the Phantasm Ghost King left, Dollar hesitated for a moment. In the end, he still told Yun Shang his plans. After hearing Yi Baiming's words, Yun Shang was silent for a moment before asking, "You want to go to the Eight Desolates continent? Do you plan to leave immediately?" "Yes, I plan to leave tomorrow." Yi Baiming felt a bit guilty. He really was the worst husband in the world. After he finished speaking, he lowered his head like a child who had done something wrong, waiting for Yun Shang to scold him. Ever since he and Yun Shang had gotten married, he had never truly fulfilled his duties as a husband for even a day. Even if Yun Shang was angry and wanted to stop him from going, he would accept it. "Bop bop, can you leave for a moment?" Yun Shang did not immediately scold him. Instead, she let Bop Sheep leave first. Bop Sheep looked at Qilin boy, then looked at Yun Shang, and slowly left. Suddenly, a pair of warm arms appeared on his back. Yun Shang hugged Dollar's head and pressed her face against his. "Night Fox, if you want to go, then go. I'll wait for you. Ever since you became a Qilin, you've been unhappy." Yun Shang's voice had a rare tinge of gentleness. At this moment, she was like a real wife. The unique fragrance of her body hit him in the face. Dollar's body stiffened. "Little wild cat, you're willing to wait for me?" At this moment, the little wild cat was not scolding him because she was baring her fangs and brandishing her claws. This version was clearly wrong. Was he dreaming? Seeing Dollar's stiff body and his eyes filled with disbelief, Yun Shang was both angry and amused. "A lifetime is long. What's wrong with waiting for you for a few years?" She huffed and pinched Dollar's abdomen. It was obviously painful, but her heart was filled with sweetness. Yi Baiming realized that he was not dreaming. Not only did the little wild cat not scold him, she even supported him to go to the Eight Desolates continent alone. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.